UFC Hall of Famer,
Oh,
Ultimate
shit, my
Fighter
bad.
winner, former champion, all-round awesome human being. I am doing fantastic. It is great to be on the MIGHTYcast. It's been a long time coming, brother. I thought I would never get a goddamn invite. What the hell?
Hey, you're busy doing movies, being an analyst, you know, flying around the world, doing all this amazing stuff. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Obviously, big fan. I'm a big fan of you and your work, your fight career, your acting career, and also your YouTube. I watched the last one where you did the reaction of Dillon Danis versus Logan Paul. And man, like, one, I'm not gonna lie, is I love your accent. I've always been a big fan of your accent. All right, just gonna put it out there. Even when we work together on UFC tonight,
I'm married. Just so you know,
I can be still fond of your, your accent. Doesn't mean I want to make love to you, but I've always been fond.
I'm very fond of you and your accent. I really am. No, thank you very much, mate. And all jokes aside, it's a pleasure to talk to you. You're an absolute legend, Demetrious, and I truly mean that. You're one of the greatest of all time. So when you asked me to do this, I was like, yeah, of course. It's a no-brainer, absolute no-brainer. You know, we were fortunate enough to share a card. Was it just one or two? I think it might have been a couple, but still, as I say. As soon as you said, I was like, yeah, of course, man. I would love to chop it up with you.
Appreciate you, man. All right, let's get into it. So I know you've been following a little bit of the Dillon Danis and Logan Paul, the whole misfit boxing, right? Like, for me, when I take a step back and look at these guys, one, they're making a shitload of money, right? Because of their YouTube days and the following they have. But for me, it's like, why not take your training serious? Like Dillon Danis said he didn't train one boxing round at all. He said, I had no boxing camp. And for me, I'm like, why the hell would you even try? Like, why would you even, put yourself in that position where you're going to fight somebody in a boxing match and not train boxing? Like, it just honestly is, in my opinion, a big disrespect to the sport and all the fans who paid the money to watch him fight, right? I mean, I got excited because all the Nina things on Twitter, because I had a good laugh. So did Michael, and so did you, Bisping. I'm pretty sure you did. But at the end of the day, when I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, dude, why not? You're on your back. It's not jiu-jitsu. Go out there and fight him. You're talking all this trash. Go out there and fight this man. And I was like, why would they just do that?
Yeah, but there's one thing that you're forgetting, Demetrious, is that you're coming at it from the angle of a real fighter. You know what I mean? Dillon Danis is not a real fighter. I don't know. I always say this, all of these guys, because I'm about to shit all over them. I don't know any of them, right? Jake Paul's an absolute tit of a human being, and let's be honest. He says he's going out there, he's spearheading a movement for fighters, but yet there's still fighters on his undercard that get paid way less than an entry-level UFC fight, so he can pump the brakes on that one straight away. But these guys aren't real fighters. You know, they're there to put on some entertainment. And I guess from that regard, God bless them and good for them. We're all trying to get ahead in life. We're all trying to do our thing, right? We all want to be a success. We all want to make money. You know, we all want to take care of our families, our children, whatever the situation is. So from that perspective, I've got no hate, for want of a better word, on them whatsoever. More power to them. You know, they've found a niche, they've found their groove, and good for them. It's just number one, when they start talking like they're real fighters, when they start disrespecting other real fighters, when they start saying that, when Jake Paul, for example, says that he's going to take on the likes of Canelo Alvarez and Logan, you know, he's just as bad, and he's even said stuff about me in the past, Tommy Fury, KSI, I've got no drama with either of them. That fight was just plain awful, and I think everyone can agree. And it was a robbery. I said that in my YouTube channel. I said KSI Tommy Fury was a robbery, and yeah, it was a robbery because anyone that paid to watch that utter shit show was robbed. They deserve their money back. The only appeal that should be going in is everybody saying, hold on, that is false advertisement. I paid to see some boxing, okay? There was more grappling in the Dillon Danis fight than there was in the UFC fight that I commentated that night, which was a legendary fight, by the way. Edson Barboza and Sadiq Youssef. Shout out to both of them. What a war they had. As I say, I've got no problem with anyone going down whatever avenue they're trying to do. They're trying to make money. They're trying to get ahead. But don't talk shit about real fighters like yourself, like me, that have literally sacrificed so much to get to the stage where we are. And a lot of people come at me and they say, well, you're jealous just because these guys are making so much money. Jealous. Number one, people say this all the time. You know, they often throw that out there. Anytime you talk, you have a negative opinion, shall we say. Anytime you're not kissing someone's ass and drinking the Kool-Aid, you're jealous. I have never been jealous of another human being a day in my life. Sure, you look at people and you think, great. I mean, wow, they've got it good. They're doing successful things. You know, Conor McGregor's earning loads of money. You know what I mean? It doesn't fill me with envy. You can't walk around life looking at everyone that's doing better than you and compare yourselves against them. So that's just crazy for a start. But to go back to it all, Dylan Dennis not training, yeah, because he's not a real fighter. He was there for a paycheck. He was there for a little bit of glory. He was there for his 15 minutes of fame. And I think, what was it? 6 times 3. His 18 minutes, well, third round didn't even finish. He was there for his 15 and a half minutes of fame. And that's where it's going to end, because he will never, ever get another boxing match in his life. Certainly, whether it's real boxing, I think he'd even have problems getting an MMA fight after that, because he couldn't even take Logan Paul down, and he's supposed to be the grappling superstar.
Yeah, I think you're right. I need to change. Well, first off, I think, it's very hard for you to be jealous of any man out in the world with hair like that and those piercing blue eyes. But
piercing blue eye, just one.
I know you only got one.
I want to say DJ, an ongoing thing with our YouTube is he's jealous of anyone that has a great set of hair. Like Dylan Dennis, every Dylan Dennis video we did, he had to be like, man, his head of hair. He's got that going for him, is the good head of hair.
Yeah, so. No. Listen, to be fair, Dylan has got that he's got that cool mullet going on. I'll give him that. You know what I mean? But DJ, just embrace it. Just embrace it. I mean. There's a lot of older gentlemen that are suave and sophisticated and sexually attractive to the opposite sex, You just got to go down the whole, who's a famous bold person? Bruce Willis. Well, he's got dementia, though. So maybe that was a bad example. Shout out Bruce Willis. I mean, what
maybe LL Cool J. LL Cool J.
Bruce Willis. That was the first bold person that popped in my head.
But I think you're right. I need to change my perspective of how I look at these guys when they fight. Right? The hardest one is Tommy Fury, because he has a background in boxing, but I don't see it. Typically when you see, guys like you said, Canelo Alvarez, Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Ray Leonard, the list just goes on of guys who have reached that caliber of boxing. They have a huge amateur background. But when you look at Tommy Fury, I feel like he is on the list with the YouTubers. Like, I don't see 40 amateur fights, 50 amateur fights in his stable. I feel like maybe he's had 3 amateur fights, and then now he's 10-0 as a pro. And I'm like, dude, like, how the hell are you having these guys keep up? So I think the biggest thing is just changing my mindset. Perspective.
No, I totally agree. As you were talking now, I just looked up Tommy Fury's Wikipedia page, and in terms of amateur, there's exhibition bouts. No amateur bouts. Look, listen.
See, there you go, right there. There's another guy. There's no amateur bouts. So there's a boxer who's considered pro. We're talking about this in one of the other episodes is about, somebody asked me, how do you get to the level of Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez, just the greats in boxing, Mike Tyson? Those guys, they had long amateur careers. even me, Michael, how many amateur fights did you have in mixed martial arts before you went pro?
Obviously I'm a little bit older than you, but and growing up in England, it wasn't quite as organized, shall we say. So MMA, the term, didn't really exist. But in terms of what we would define as amateur competition, I was doing these since I was 8 years old. Various forms of martial arts and kickboxing. And we used to do a thing called knockdown sport budo, which was mixed martial arts essentially, but we just didn't know it. And we would have no gloves on, but there was no headshots. But it was MMA. Everything was all in, But we just, that term, we weren't familiar with it. I know now, looking back, that the promoter ripped off the UFC in 1993, but I wasn't following it back then. So yeah, in terms of amateur MMA, I guess you would say 0. But I did so many tournaments, and that is the difference. And I'm not trying to rip on Tommy, because he actually got my respect after that, because when he said there'll only be one Tyson Fury, I'm just trying to be the best Tommy Fury that I can be, And I thought there was some realization there of who he is and where he's going and what he's capable of. You know, it wasn't the best fight. It really wasn't. I think, to be fair, KSI made that almost impossible, doing jumping jacks from a distance and then just lunging in. Anytime you lunge in like that, you're going to fall into a clinch, you know, and then from that clinch scenario, you know, being able to use the inside boxing and dirty boxing, for want of a better term, to do it effectively at a high level, that comes with a lot of time and experience, and he's still just a novice. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. However, yeah, no, do you know what? Because I covered his fight against, who was it? Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor, when Jake Paul fought Tyron Woodley the first time. I covered it for BT Sport. So I did a little research and I watched him in his first couple of fights, and he sparked these guys out cold. And I thought, whoa, he could be okay. But then when I watched him against Anthony Taylor, he won. But again, it wasn't impressive. And I thought maybe it's he was a mixed martial artist, so the style's different, and he found him a little awkward. Then he fought Jake Paul, and I thought he looked okay. But I think that's more a measuring stick of just how shit, and if we're honest, Jake Paul is. And then he repeats a very, very mediocre performance against KSI. Not mediocre, a poor performance, let's be honest.
Yeah, and that's the thing I was telling Wandsworth. I was like, dude, I don't see a guy who's a pro boxer having a long amateur career. And so you just looked it up right there. He's never had a legit amateur career. Where I told people out there, it's like, me, I think 30 amateur fights. You probably had 30, maybe more amateur fights. They weren't called amateur fights, but you were still building a great foundation for you to be a world champion, be a successful boxer, a professional mixed martial artist, where when you got to the UFC, you weren't fucking, doing jumping jacks and all this other bullshit and not entertaining the fans. So that's just one thing that I saw with, Tommy Fury. So it's sad to say that this chapter is closed for these gentlemen, but it is what it is. I mean, potentially it has. I mean,
here's one thing that I always talk about. Obviously I commentate fights and I speak to a lot of younger fighters. I always tell them, have as many amateur fights as you possibly can. And I'm sure you'll agree, because that's when you're really learning, and do as much competition as you can. If you're a young man or woman and you're aspiring to maybe fight in the UFC or be the next Demetrious Johnson, whatever it is, get as much mat time as possible, because you got to get used to that one-on-one environment. I don't need to tell you this. I'm telling the people that are listening to this, or the Mighty Mouse fans, the mighty ones, because it's so nerve-wracking walking out there, and when it's one-on-one and there's a crowd, it doesn't matter if there's 100 people or 10,000 people. It's still intimidating. And I guess from that respect and that angle, I will give them credit, because it is, very, as I said, nerve-wracking walking out there in front of those massive crowds, because they're in at the deep end straight away. But that's also because of their inflated egos, and they have this. It is though, let's be honest. They think their shit doesn't stink, so therefore everyone should come and see me because I'm fucking Jake Paul and I'm Logan Paul. Listen, I'll give Logan props. The stuff he's doing in WWE, not that I follow it at all, but the shit I've seen a few clips, like jumping off the top rope and stuff. That's super athletic, you know what I mean? So he's a very, very athletic guy. And as I said at the start, and I truly mean this, I don't hate on anyone going after the pursuit of happiness and the pursuit of money and well-being and trying to take care of themselves and their family. So from that regard, good luck to them. But again, stop talking shit. And then here's another thing that really gets me. Jake Paul getting in the ring afterwards and saying, these MMA fighters, they can't compete. What are you talking about? Right? You fought Tyron Woodley, a very washed up version of Tyron Woodley, right? Tyron, it was a great champion, but he didn't show up for the last 4 of his fights. Do you know what I mean? In the UFC. He just didn't. He didn't fight. Because once that fire goes out, it's hard to reignite it. You can't light it again, and I'm not talking shit about Tyron. He had an incredible career, and he earned it, and he defended the belt multiple times. Not an easy thing to do. So maximum respect. But when that fire went out and we saw him showing up, he wasn't fighting. That's the version that Jake Paul beat. Then he beat Ben Askren. Come on, he couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. Anderson Silva, I'll give him credit, even though it was an old Anderson Silva. The man was pushing 50 and he lost a lot of his fights towards the end of his UFC run. So to take that record, that history, that running track record against retired older MMA guys and say that MMA guys can't compete, they're out of their mind. Stepping against Alex Pereira. and see what happens. Step in against Robert Whittaker and see what happens. I could go on and on and on. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, even though he's a kickboxer, will probably box his head off, and he's almost 40 as well. You can't just tarnish an entire sport and say that we can't box, we can't use our hands.
And DJ, why don't you tell Michael right now your controversial take coming out of Logan Paul, Dylan Dennis? Tell him what was the first thing you said after you saw that fight about if they fought in MMA.
Dude, I honestly think if they fight MMA, I think Logan Paul beats him. He's way more athletic than him. He defended the shot. And obviously, I think he's probably going to hit a lot. Well, I don't know if he hits hard because he hit him with a couple bombs and he didn't drop him. But I honestly think Logan Paul could beat Dylan Dennis in MMA because he can wrestle. And if Dylan Dennis can't get you down to the ground, it's not like he can pull guard and scoot his butt towards him because the referees stand him up, right? And so after seeing how Dylan Dennis went about fighting him in boxing, not displaying any type of knowledge or curriculum of how to, bounce back and forth and try to make, Logan Paul overextend and catch him with the right hand. I was like, dude, and he shot a double-A takedown and he also went for a guillotine. He didn't succeed on both those. I'm like, guys, I think Logan Paul can beat him in MMA.
Yeah.
It's a far-fetched, but I'm more of a believer. If I had to put my money somewhere, I would have put on Logan Paul.
Well, you're not the only one to say that because I saw that theory floated around online and I understand the theory. And it just shows how shit Dylan Dennis just is. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. If you can't wrestle, that's an issue. Maybe he could do an Imanari roll or something like that and find a way to get it down to the ground, and I'm sure he'd have his way with him. But that's the problem with jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu takedowns suck. They're non-existent. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sweep the leg, grab hold and go for an osotogari or something. They don't work in mixed martial arts at the highest level. So jiu-jitsu guys, they come in and they're great, but they kind of pan out a little bit when they meet somebody with good wrestling because they can't get it down to the ground. And then they're forced to stand and bank, which is never pretty. It's never good to look at. So that is probably what would happen with Dylan and Logan, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about, Demetrious. I can't sit here and chew the fat. I'm with the great Demetrious Johnson. We got to move on from the Misfits madness.
We're about to. You were talking about the transition, in mixed martial arts, how you're seeing the older gentlemen like Tyron Woodley, Anderson Silva, Ben Askren, they went to boxing, but your path was a little bit different. You haven't, touched any of this influence boxing. I don't know if a lot of people follow your career outside of mixed martial arts, but you've been in movies. Now you're a full-time analyst. I wanted to talk about that. I think that's every athlete's goal is once they're done doing mixed martial arts, you kind of found an avenue to do other things to supplement the income to make a living, right? And with the movies, you were also on Borderlands, I believe, right? I was watching one of the clips and you're beating the hell out of somebody in a ring and you hit him in the stomach. I believe it was on HBO. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? It was Borderlands.
You talking about Warrior?
Warrior. That's what it was. Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about what was your path to doing that? And I saw you just did something with Gerard Butler and Den of Thieves 2.
Yep.
I don't think a lot of people, our listeners, know that. And I think it's really cool because typically, like you said, the athletes, they go through this career, become world champion, Hall of Fame, all the accolades you've been able to get in your career. And a lot of them just disappear into the background or walked in the sun. But for you, you've been able to do something with it. So talk to me about your acting career. How did you start? Why did you start? And how's it going?
Yeah, well, thank you. Some very kind words there, Demetrious. And to be honest, I don't like to talk about myself as an actor because I still don't class myself as an actor. I did a movie.
No. Do you got your SAG card?
Yeah. No, I know.
Okay, you got your SAG card.
I did a film last year. But I was saying to, I did this film last year, Red Sonja. And one of the guys on there, Luca Pasqualino, great actor from the UK, and we became very close. And we were talking, and he would often refer to me, or we talk as actors, and I'd always say, I'm not an actor. And we would have not arguments, but differences of opinion. He's like, what are you talking? You're an actor, Mike. And I remember we were doing this scene, and I was kind of annoyed because somebody wasn't taking it seriously and all the rest of it. And he was like, see, look, you're a actor. You're doing a great job, And it's not because, and there is a certain element of me having imposter syndrome, so that's kind of, I say that as an insurance card, so to speak, but it's because it's just a little avenue of many things that I do. When I was fighting, and you'll know this, life was tough growing up. Money was very, very, very extremely tight. It was almost non-existent. And then I found myself in this world of mixed martial arts and fighting for the UFC, and life became good. Life became great. And all of a sudden we could pay the bills. We had money in the bank and so on and so forth. And I was always worried that this was just going to be a little blip on the timeline of my life, and I was like, eventually I'm going to end up working back down the factory for minimum wage again and all the rest of it. And that always motivated me to try and find a way to beat that, to make sure that wasn't my future. And obviously it's well known, I've got the fake eyeball in. When that came about, that was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I continued to fight and I was cheating past the tests and stuff like that. But I knew that I was on borrowed time. And it's only a matter of time before I get busted and my fight career is taken away. So I started doing everything I could to do other things, and that involved working at Fox Sports. I was very lucky. I live in Orange County, California. It's like an hour drive away. So I started doing that stuff. Obviously, I'm commentating now. Started a podcast and I started working on acting and stuff. And to answer your question, the way the acting stuff came around was Tap Out. Obviously, you're aware of Tap Out, the brand.
Of course.
They were making more money. They were making so much money back in the day, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm going to assume that they were trying to write some of it off in taxes, because they were making vast amounts of money, and well done to them, of course. So they started doing movies, Tap Out movies, and I just got an email out of the blue one day, and they asked me to be in a film, and I've never acted before in my life, but I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, watching action movies as a kid is kind of what got me into martial arts. Watching the Rocky movies, Jean-Claude Van Damme was a big hero of mine. I literally wanted to be that guy. Do you know what I mean? Bloodsport, a kickboxer, watched him about 1,000 times on VHS, and that's what got me doing martial arts. So of course I took that opportunity. Like anything, you prepare for it. I got myself an acting coach. Next minute, I'm flying down to Austin, Texas, and I'm acting. And I'm on the front cover of the goddamn film. Do you know what I mean? It was a big part. And I've never acted before in my life. I was shitting my pants. But as I started calming down and I got to know the director and, I was more at ease in that environment, I did a pretty decent job. And the director even said to me afterwards, he said, Mike, you did great. He said, that was amazing. He said, continue with this. He said, I'm telling you, he said, you've got something there. Obviously, now I live in Orange County, California. I moved out here. Well, after that, when I got home, I managed to get a part in a little soap opera on British TV in the UK. So I did that, Hollyoaks later. It's like a cheesy soap opera. I was the bad guy. I'm always the bad guy. So I did that, just getting a bit more experience. And then when I came out to America, I thought, well, I'll get myself an agent. So, yeah, I tried to get myself an agent, found one, and it just kind of went from there. And it is going relatively well. Like, I've got 3 films that are waiting to be released, so a bit of a humble brag there. Dead of Thieves 2, Red Sonja, I forget the other one. And there's a few things in the pipeline, etc., etc. Hold on.
See, that's amazing, dude. That's amazing. Like, that's what, if all
Sorry,
the listeners...
I thought my computer just went, everything went dark because I haven't touched the key, but we're still rolling. I went like that. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, but I take it all with a pinch of salt. Do you know what I mean? Yes, I want to do it. And the reason I want to do it is because it excites me and it's something new. And just like back in the day when I would fly off to Australia or to Macau or to Brazil and go with my teammates and we train for an opponent, and that journey, that mission, it's also fun to jump on a plane and fly off somewhere, meet new people, become a new character. And listen, I'm never going to be winning an Oscar or anything like that. I'm well aware of my limitations, but the stuff I do is action-centric. And it's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, do you have an American accent yet?
A very, very, very bad one. So, I mean, I've done auditions for American accents. I've never landed them once. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not going to do it right now because you never know. That big break might be around the corner. And I haven't got to do shitty rinky-dink podcasts like this.
Well, I think that's amazing, Mike. The biggest thing is, like I said, even in my career in mixed martial arts, I always tell you, right, it's a ticking time bomb to where you blow your ACL or you get knocked out or you just don't show up like you used to be when you're 26 or 28 years old, right? And if we keep on relying on our bodies to pay the bills, then eventually your body's going to fail you and you're not going to be able to pay your bills. So when I saw you go down that path and started doing some acting and saw you on Warrior, then saw the Identities 2. And I've always like, man, you know what? Michael Bisping would be a good bad guy in like Mission Impossible like 12. Like his accent, the fake eye, he could put like an 8-ball in your eyeball and you just like, you da 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 with your accent. But I don't know. I think it's cool. And I think a lot of listeners love to hear the backstory of how you got into it, right? Because I didn't know it started with Tap Out. I mean, Tap Out was huge back in the day. Yeah. I mean, it sold to Kmart, it was in Walmart, and then, Mass did an amazing stuff, bringing down a Cerrone into the WEC. I mean, they have a huge legacy of helping people in mixed martial arts, but the fact that they helped you get into the movie industry, I think some of the listeners will love to hear that. So that's dope. And I can't wait to see, you got 3 movies that are going to be released and you have some more stuff in a pipeline. So don't ever say you're not an actor because...
Yeah, but that's why, because I'm also very aware, right, of sounding like a f***ing asshole. Do you know what I mean? Which I don't think I'm this, contrary to popular belief. I don't think I'm this big deal. I don't think I've got it all set. I don't think I've got it all figured out. I'm just going through life again, just still scratching and clawing away and trying to do my thing. And above everything else, take care of my wife and my children and give them the best life possible. And things are going great. Things are good. But you can never take that for granted, Certainly in this day and age, you say the wrong thing and you're gone, you're cancelled, and which is hard for a guy like me because I'm very controversial. I like to speak my mind. But the reason I say it is because I don't want to sound like I've dissipated up my backside. I enjoy doing it and I'm enjoying the experience and the run and the ride. But I'm not...
You're an actor,
I'm not
Michael.
making it my identity.
I know that.
My identity is that I'm a former fighter and I do now things in the entertainment space.
Absolutely. I mean, so my dad, he was an extra in the movie Boneyard. He knows the fight choreographer for the movie who did the Boneyard. It's with Mel Gibson and 50 Cent. He came home and goes, "Hey son, guess what? I got my check. I'm an actor. I got my SAG card too." And I was like, "Congratulations, Dad. I'm so proud of you." Right? So, I mean, it's one thing you can check off in your box. You did some movies, and like you said, it's not your full blown identity. You'll always be known as, a former fighter, but now you're transitioning that role as an entertainer because you are very entertaining with your podcast and TV analyst and the fight analyst. So I think, I understand you're not trying to sound like an asshole, but Michael, you're an actor, but it's not your full identity, okay?
Yeah. Well, no, I know, but thank you, Demetrious, and. Listen, just you touched on something there. A lot of people don't realize, and I was joking about the strike stuff before. Acting is such a hard road as well. And that's why I was very lucky. And my agents always said this because unless you're a movie star, there's really not a lot of money in it. People, there's this fallacy that, you get on a movie or you get on a TV show and you're making ridiculous amounts of money. It's not like that at all. And that's why, a lot of actors that are just in the background, even when they have speaking parts, not talking about extras, they don't get paid a lot of money. So that's why Los Angeles is full. Every waiter or barman is an actor on the side, Yep. So it's a hard job in that regard. There's a slog and you got to believe in yourself. And I guess it's the same thing with fighting. You know what I mean? You've either got it or you haven't, But listen, we'll see where that goes. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll never do another thing again. And you know what? I won't give a shit. Because I won't. I said to my wife, my daughter now, she's in acting school. She absolutely loves it. And she's found her passion in life. And nice. It cost me a goddamn fortune, by the way. But I always say this, if nothing else comes from the little bit of acting that I've done, which I've enjoyed and I've had some great experiences, but if nothing else comes, then Ellie finding her way into this world, and whether or not she becomes an actress or works behind the scenes, she's doing production and all that type of stuff. I forget exactly what the course is, but whatever. Theatre production and all kinds of shit, right? But she's found a passion in her life because she was kind of lost, You know how it is as a young man,
Oh, yeah.
You drift through life and you don't know what you want to do. And she went through a breakup and I suggested to her do some acting classes because you explore your emotions. So she went and did that and she fell in love with it. And now she's found her thing and her groove in life and what she wants to do. And she has a dream, right? Whether or not that comes off is another thing, but it's so healthy to have a dream and something to aspire to. And I always say, if nothing else comes of it, the fact that my daughter discovered a potential pathway in life and something to strive towards and work towards, then it all paid off and it was all totally worth it.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Oh, Michael, I never told you this. I'm half English. Like I'm half English.
Where are your parents from?
London.
Both of them?
No, just my dad.
Oh, really? Well, there you go. Come on,
Yeah.
mate. You're part of the family.
Yeah,
Have you got?
I know.
Do you have? Now, hold on. Let's be honest. Because when you said, I'm half English, even though Americans love to go 1776. By the way, no one in England even knows what 1776 is. No one gives a flying f***. Honestly, I don't know if you know it is. That was a long time ago, okay? And so no one cares about that. But it's funny because, we're the bad guys and Americans love to hate on the English is what I've experienced here. But everywhere, when you speak to someone, they'll always go, yeah, I'm German. Yeah, I'm Irish. I'm Portuguese,
Yeah.
And the Irish. The Irish is a big one. I'm Irish. And I actually had a little bit of a falling out with Paul Felder on that because I was only teasing him, but I pushed his buttons a bit too much. And shout out Paul Felder. Love working with that guy, but he's the Irish dragon. But it wasn't just Paul. I say this to everyone all the time. Americans love to own being Irish. I say, oh, really? You're Irish, are you? Because my mum's Irish. My mum actually has an Irish accent, okay? She's like legit Irish, But I don't claim to be Irish because I was born in England and my dad's English. So I say I'm English. I say, right, okay, does anybody in your immediate family speak with an Irish accent? Because if they don't, then you're not Irish, mate. Do you know what I mean? You might have Irish ancestry. Do you know what I mean? You guys are American. And you're all proud and patriotic. Say you're American. Don't say you're German. Don't say you're Italian. Don't say you're whatever the fuck it is. You're Americans. And that's all right.
I'm an American. I'm full blown American. But my dad, he's like, no, son, you're English. I was like, Dad, I'm an American. He goes, son, I'm fucking half black and I'm half English. And I'm like, okay. And then he showed me all his stuff and he has an accent. Like, so he was born here in America, but his mom took him back to England and he grew up from 2 years old all the way till he was 19. He danced for the Queen. He did some CDs out there.
Danced with the Queen.
He danced for the Queen's, the Queen's sister. He danced with the Queen's sister. I have to see some of his stuff. You'll laugh, but it's funny because when I hang out with him, he has like this weird ass accent. He goes, "Oh, that's lovely, son." He goes, "Good boy." Good boy. And then he made me an English dish. He goes, "Son, what do you think of this English dish?" I was like, "Tastes like shit." He goes, "It's English, son. There's no sugars, preservative, or anything like that." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I thought that was cool. Like, when I was like, "I'm talking about Bisping," see if he accept me as one of his own.
That's great. But it sounds like your dad is the prime example of what I just said. He was born in America and went over to England. You know what I mean? Even you, so you've just proved my point. And by the way, before you right wing. Crazy America guys get on your high horse. I'm having a laugh. I'm being silly. I'm having a joke. Okay, so have a sense of humor about everything, guys. I don't know if you noticed this, but I'm very rarely serious until I'm really serious.
Hey, you know what?
But yeah,
we love to shit. We like to shoot the shit and just be honest and speak your mind. So don't worry about it. If people get offended, they can just leave. I don't care. All right,
DJ. One thing I wanted to ask about that got brought up during our Ariel Helwani interview. So you mentioned it, Michael, at the beginning of this interview that both you guys have shared at least a couple fight cards together. And DJ told an interesting story. If you could repeat it for Michael of, I guess, so your fight was before DJ's.
I know
and he gets in the locker room. Yep.
I know it.
So can you tell that story?
Yeah.
You know how long?
God.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Your coach, legendary. What's his name? Don't say
Hume.
it.
Sorry, I said it. Yeah, Hume.
Something Hume.
Yeah, Matt Hume.
There it is. Yeah, so you and Matt Hume are taking a picture and I'm in the background like this. And then I think on that flight home, you got me back. You got a picture. I was like all asleep. Like that.
Yes.
You got one as well.
Yeah, I was looking everywhere to try to find that picture of you dancing in your underwear behind me when I was warming up to announce people like, hey, the next guest on MIGHTYcast is Michael Bisping. And then when we were going to that's right, because we went to California and did all the press conference, like the promo, and then we flew to was that Toronto? No, it's
Toronto,
Montreal.
yeah.
Montreal. We flew to Montreal together because we fight in Toronto together too, UFC 152. But we flew to Montreal together. You got me sleeping with my mouth open. And then when we went home together, I got you with your mouth open. And I said, got it back, boys. But it's kind of crazy. We shared a lot of cards together. But for the life of me, I could not find that picture. I checked gettyimages.com. If anybody out there who's listening to this, if you guys can find a picture of Michael Bisping dancing in his underwear, can you please send it to us in the Discord? I would love to look at it and see, just have that and get it, framed. And maybe I get Michael to
I'd
sign
like it as well, because no doubt I'll be in fight shape, which I'm nowhere near fight shape these days. You got to hang on to those ones, buddy. You know what I mean? I've probably got it on my phone because I'm pretty sure I posted it on Instagram or something like that back in the day. But yeah, good times, man. Good times.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Okay, so the next big fight, I want to get your piece on this, because have you ever taken a fight on short notice?
Yeah, many fights. Well, I say many, but multiple.
Really?
Yeah, of course. When I fought Luke Rockhold, when I knocked out Luke to become the champ.
Oh, that's right.
I was filming Triple X in Toronto, and I took that on 2 weeks' notice.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that, because who is he supposed to fight? And they backed out.
Chris Weidman. Well, he got injured.
That's right. And then you stepped in, because I was actually at that fight in California when you did that. And I remember my favorite meme of that is you hitting him in the face, and someone put a dildo in your hand. I don't know if you ever saw that. That was my favorite.
What do you mean? Don't know if I ever saw that. Listen, that pops up on my timeline all the time, and I'm not going to repost that. You know what I mean? It's so crass. You know what I'm saying? It really is. And poor old Luke. I mean, he doesn't help himself, but he gets a lot of shit online. He's actually a nice guy, because we've trained a little bit, and Perillo, my coach, took him under the wing for a while. But yeah, no, I've definitely seen that picture.
It's one of my favorite pictures, to be honest with you. But yeah, you have two big fights. Islam taking on Alex Volkanovski. Alex taking a fight on 10 days notice. And then you also have Kamaru Usman taking on Khamzat, 10-day notice. Now, I already told Micah, I was like, I don't know if I would take a fight on 10-day notice against these monsters. Like, that is, I mean, obviously they're looking for the opportunity, but how good of shape can you be on 10 days notice? I think I saw something earlier today that Alex Volkanovski was at 191. He's gonna get down to 155 to make title weight, and he's.
I think it was 180.
Yeah, 181.
But yeah.
181. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I don't get my numbers right. That's why Juan's over as a producer, and he always corrects me and shit. But that's a lot of weight to cut in 10 days in travel, and to expect to be in tip-top shape to be able to dethrone the champ Islam Makhachev. And then I don't even know how I felt about Kamaru Usman fighting Khamzat. I mean, I know Kamaru Usman's body's breaking down on him. His knees are shot. And for him to, fight the wolf, I'm not I don't know, man. I don't know, Michael, what do you think? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, look, listen, Islam's a tremendous champion, so you got to think he's going to be the favorite. I haven't looked at the score, the odds yet or anything like that, but he's great, right? We all know how good he is. And he won the first fight on the scorecards, but it was very, very close. It was ridiculously close. And the reality is it could have gone either way. For Volkanovski, I mean, he fought International Fight Week. He beat Yair Rodriguez. He's a guy that takes his craft seriously. He's not a party animal. He's not out there boozing or anything like that. I'm sure he likes a beer, don't get me wrong, but he's not that guy,
Yeah.
And he even said this week, he said, I don't really get out of shape too much. He said, my cardio's always at a decent base. I don't think it's going to be that much of a big deal. I really don't. The fact he's fighting at 155, so he's got an extra 10 pounds. He's only going to lose 26 pounds, which is a lot, don't get me wrong. But when I took my fight on 2 weeks' notice, I was 32 pounds off or something like that.
Damn.
And that was actually one of the easiest weight cuts of my whole career. It's weird how that happens. But so for Volkanovski, I think he's going to do great. Now, I'm not saying he wins. I don't know who's going to win. But I think for Volkanovski, a lot of the questions have been answered. When you go up against someone like Islam Makhachev, who is the new coming of Khabib, so to speak, he's the new version of him, right? And Khabib's in his corner. He represented Dagestan. He's the main guy. He's the lightweight champion. He's the man. So you think to yourself, and you know what it's like, the pre-fight anxiety. Can I beat
Absolutely.
this guy? How strong is he? Can I stop his takedowns? His punch power is supposed to be amazing. Can I take one of his shots? Will he knock me out? Can I fight at 155? All these questions. Well, they've all been answered. Then they've all been answered. And the answer to all of those things is yes. Yes, I can stop his takedown. Yes, I can get back up if I am taken down. Yes, I can take his shots. Yes, I can stop his submission attempts. So all that pre-fight anxiety is gone. And he even said himself, because he is taking it on short notice, we've got to think if we're realistic. He's not going to be in as good cardiovascular shape as Islam. He's just not. And the endurance and the stamina isn't going to be the same. So he's going to have to go out there and try and finish the guy. And that'll make him dangerous. And of course, because he hasn't done a 10, 12-week training camp, 8 weeks, whatever, it's just he's showing up. He's got the chance to be great. He's taking a risk. He's going to get major props from everybody, right?
Yep.
He's not. If he loses, he's probably going to get submitted, and we all just know you just tap and it's done, right? He dared to be great, so there's no downside. There's no downside, right?
Yeah.
The upside is he can go out there, have a good go, swing for the fucking fences, and try and take the man's head off. And I think that makes him extremely dangerous. I'm not saying it makes him going to be the winner. I don't think he beats he might beat Islam, but I'm not saying that. I haven't watched him closely enough to say that. And you got to be careful with Islam. He's got very, very, very passionate fans. My God. If I say bad thing about Islam, I hate Muslims all of a sudden. Do you know what I mean? What the
boycott you like Michael Bisping shit at Islam. No, I mean, when I broke down his fight, there's a lot of things that Volkanovski right now, he's probably the most impressive fighter on out there right now, along with Charles Oliveira, et cetera, because his IQ is so high. I always tell people, how the hell is Alec Volkanovski outstriking everybody and he's a shorter guy, right? I mean, Max Holloway, he outstruck him with the jab. Yair Rodriguez, he outstruck him. Kareem Zam, he outstruck him. Brian Ortega, he outstruck him. All of them. And he's a smaller athlete. And I think when I watched his fight with Islam versus his fight against Islam, he did a good job of always showing feints, moving on the outside of the southpaw, and going from southpaw to orthodox, always changing the dynamic of the puzzle. And I agree with you. He's not going to be in the best shape going after a fight of Islam. I don't care. I'm always in shape. Right? I've never get over, I'm 150 now, but when I was back in the day fighting, competing, I would never really get out of my fight weight. But if someone's like, hey, can you take this fight on 10 days notice? I can do it, but it would not be the same cardiovascular that I would have if I did 8 to 10 week camp. So for him to go in there on 10 days notice to fight Islam, it's dangerous. And like you said, there is only upside. I mean, his stock has already risen for him taking the fight on short notice and against Islam, and it gives him the opportunity to try to be champ on short notice. So sometimes it could work out in his benefit where he doesn't have to worry about doing a 8 to 10 week camp, getting injured, getting bored.
It does because I said this when I beat Luke. I said, I'm never doing one of those long training camps ever again. I'm just going to keep it short because I always had a history of overtraining. And I think a lot of people in mixed martial arts do that because there's so many different elements to train, so many different styles. We know it all. Anyone watching this podcast is a fan, so they know. So I won't list them all. And but then because of weakness or insecurity, I still continued doing those long training camps. But when you take it on short notice, because I don't know about you, when I would start my training camps, I would feel powerful. I would feel explosive. I would feel fast. But then you get drained throughout the process, because you're cutting weight, you're restricting the carbohydrates, you're doing 2, sometimes 3 training sessions a day. And unless you're a cheating bastard and taking steroids like a lot of the people were back in the day, then you're not going to recover because you're not Superman unless your name's Vitor Belfort, right? So you get drained and you get weak. And that plays on your psyche as well. He has that's not an option. He's going to go in there fresh. He's going to go in strong. He's going to go in confident, and he's going to go in swinging for the fences. And in that first fight, there was only one knockdown which occurred, and that was Volkanovski knocked him down in round 5. You mentioned the stance switches. I think that is going to be key in the first fight. Hold on, let me just get rid of that. Editor's still sending me goddamn questions, things. In the first fight, he did a real good job from standing orthodox to switching to southpaw, but he was doing it by stepping forward, which closes the distance, and he would lead with the right hook. As the right leg stepped forward, he would lead with the right hand. And then he would roll under, out the way, and step off on the angle. I think we're going to see that a lot. And I think he'll go with the right hand, but then follow it up with 2 or 3. But then he's got to step off. Now, the problem is, if I've spotted that, then we know that Khabib has spotted that and his team has spotted that. And the perfect counter to that is to level change and grab the single leg and then start a wrestling entry. So there's, you can look at it from many different ways and you can come up with various different strategies. The reality is, round 1 and round 2, Volk's going to be extremely dangerous. Now, when you look at his record, he's not necessarily a knockout artist. Yeah, he stopped Yair Rodriguez with his hands. He stopped Chad Mendes with his hands. He stopped the Korean Zombie. Did I just say that one, Yair Rodriguez? But the guys like Max Holloway and stuff like that, he didn't stop. But nobody stops Max Holloway. Nobody beats Max Holloway. So he's got real power. It's a real threat. I'm telling you, it's a real fight.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, first off, everybody loves TRT Vitor. Like, he's a fucking massive TRT. And the fact that you brought that up, it's crazy how, like, you were in a USADA pool, right? It's crazy, like, how the new age of athletes bitch and complain about USADA. Here, let me give you guys a couple of things that happened to me. I've been tested at the liquor store from USADA. I've been tested early in the morning from USADA. I've been tested when I was playing World of Warcraft from USADA. Newsflash, motherfuckers. Guess what? When USADA comes to my house and they want to collect my urine, I can tell USADA to wait in the corner for 6 hours until I'm ready to give him a sample. I don't have to wake up and be like, oh, I got to hurry up and give you pee. Oh, you
I got a story for you.
We're going to hear that story. But people got to understand, USADA is the king dingling of catching these cheaters, right? When USADA was like, Demetrious Johnson, you're supposed to be at the house. Where are you? I was like, hey, Helen. Hey, yeah, girl. Hey, what's up? I'm at the liquor store right now trying to get that 1942 Don Julio Añejo. Why don't you come over here and come get this piss? Okay, I'm on my way. She came to the liquor store, gave her my urine. She went about her day. I went home. We got lit. Okay, so you guys think that this is going to fix, the whole thing. And the reason why there's a 6 months period, do you guys know how this shit works? Okay, for people out there, from what I've been told is that you get on your steroids, you do your cycle, and then you get off it, and then you go compete. So when USADA says they want you to have 6 months in the pool clean, that means it gives you 6 months to not take anything. Then you got to give 2 negative tests, right? So think about that. 6 months clean and 2 negative tests, and then you get to compete. So just put that in your pipe and smoke it, boys.
Oh, Michael, yeah, look, listen. We should all be campaigning for clean sport, and certainly in mixed martial arts, right? The stakes are so high in boxing and combat sports. But talking of USADA, I've got a good one. So, tested everywhere. They show up at the house at 4 o'clock in the morning, which used to drive me crazy. Certainly in between fights, because I might like a couple of drinks here and there. Back in the day, not anymore. And you've had a late night and you're in bed and there's a knock at the door and my wife's like, it's USADA. I'm like, for fuck's sake, head's blazing, hungover, for fuck's sake. What do you want? But when I fought George St. Pierre, Madison Square Garden, I had a tough weight cut, right? And you know how those tough weight cuts are. My God, it was awful, right? So I go, I make weight, and then you got to do your medicals. You do your medicals before it, then you make weight, and I'm like, I'm dying, and now we can't do IVs or anything like that. So I go back up in the room, and I'm drinking my Pedialyte and my coconut water. I'm having a few berries, and I'm exhausted, right? Because you cut half your weight the night before, as you know, and then you cut the next half in the morning. The impact of that is that you don't sleep very well, right? And then you're up at the crack of dawn to make sure that you've cut the rest of the weight for the weigh-in, which is at 9 o'clock. So it's an early start. So I'm exhausted, and all I want to do is go to bed. So I walk into my room with my coaches, and we shoot the shit for 10 minutes. And then I'm like, all right, guys, I'm exhausted. I'm going to take a nap. Go grab some breakfast or whatever. I'll see you in a bit. And they go, yeah. They walk out the room. I lie on the bed. I'm just about to fall asleep. There's a knock at the door. I'm like, well, one of the lads, maybe they forgot the phone or something. I open the door. Hello, USADA. I'm like, excuse me? They're like, USADA, we're here to test you. I lost my mind. I said, what the I said, do you know what I've just been through? Do you know what I've just been through? And now you're here. I said, I'm about to take a nap. I'm exhausted. I said, you think I can piss in a cup? I've just dehydrated myself 20 pounds. I said, you're going to have to wait a while. I said, and I'm exhausted. I said, I can hardly keep my eyes open. He goes, well, I'll wait like old smarmy. I said, right. And people are going to think I'm an asshole for this. I go, right, fine, fucking wait, right? And he goes, where do you want me to wait? And it was a suite. I said, well, I'm going in that room there and I'm going for a sleep. And if you want to wait here, you can wait in that room. I said, but don't sit down. I was being a dick. I said, don't sit down. You can't sit. I said, this is not your room. If you want to wait here, stand. Because I was so annoyed. The insult to come after I've just made weight. So anyway, I walk in my bedroom, I fall asleep, and I wake up like about an hour later. Don't open my eyes. I say, oh, the USADA guy. And I walk out, and he's still standing there, right? And
That's
I'm like,
their job.
And now the fluid has kicked in a little bit, and I've had a little bit of rest, and the human being version of Michael Bisping is back. I'm like, oh my God, I am so sorry. I said, I am so sorry. I said, dude, you got me at like the worst time ever. Do you know what I mean? I said, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry, I said, I know you're only doing your job. I said, I get that. I said, but you got to look at it from my angle. And he actually said, you know what, Mr. Bisping? He said, it's totally fine. He said, to be honest, it's not even close to the worst one that I've had. So I said, well, tell me. And he said, he wouldn't give me names. He said that someone pulled an axe out on him once and was swinging the axe at him and all sorts. He said, trust me, what you just did to me was nothing. But even still, if you see this, Mr. USADA guy, I was kind of a jerk that day, but you picked a up time to come and test me.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's the thing that people don't understand is that if they come and try to test you, you can say, hey, like you just did, I need to take a nap. You can sit in that corner and just chill
Stand
when
in
I'm
the
ready
corner.
to get. Is that, that's right, stand in the corner. Well, I never forget when I was playing video games, I said, she came over and she goes, hey, I didn't take a sample. I was like, I'm in the middle of a video game and I can't leave. I'm playing with 4 other dudes, so you're gonna have to wait. And I literally finished the dungeon in 45 minutes, and I was like, okay, I can give you my sample now. So guys out there, I love to see the new age athletes be bitching and complaining about USADA. Oh, USADA this, they always bother me, blah, 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 blah. They're just trying to keep the sport clean.
But hold on, Demetrius. Listen,
okay.
Yeah, my delivery might not have been the best, and I apologize, and I made it up to him, and I was charming, I was sophisticated, I offered him a drink and a coffee and all the rest of it, but I just made weight. I'd just gone through one of the most traumatic experiences that a human being can go through, okay?
Yeah.
And I was exhausted. You just wanted to finish your game of Dungeons and Dragons.
Hey,
That's not the same.
It's the same shit, baby. It's the same shit. You know how stressful it is to make sure you keep the aggro off the healer? That's just
I don't.
stressful.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not a virgin. I've got 3 kids.
Now, before we let you go, Michael, because we've held you for a while, we asked our questions over at the Demetrious Johnson, the Mighty Gaming YouTube, the community page. I know you use your community page as well, so we're always trying to interact with our fans there. Yep. We asked them if they had any questions for Michael Bisping. And the number one question that was liked by all the fans, so I'm going to ask it, is by @RileyGarcia1. And he asked, this is for both of you, a question for both of you. Is there any striking or grappling techniques that you practice and felt confident in training, but couldn't get around to bringing them out in an actual fight?
Oh,
no,
I mean,
don't
for
think
me,
so. I don't think so. And that was the main question, the most liked question. No offense to whoever asked that. That's the lamest question. You got one question to ask Demetrius. You got one question to ask me. This is your one shot. So tell me, Mike, really interested to know, was there one particular striking technique in the gym that you just couldn't make work in a fight? That's it. That's your one question.
Fans,
all the other questions are about your eyes. So
say again.
all the other questions are about your eyes.
I don't give a shit. Go ahead. I don't care. Ask the eye questions. What about you, Demetrius? Was there one technique in the training room that would work for you, but under the spotlight and the intense situation of real life competition, you really struggled with?
Here's another question. @good Trilel, he asks, what was the closest you have ever been to getting caught fighting with only one eye? I know Bisping has talked about having to hide the fact his eye was damaged.
Oh, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, how long have you got? There were so many times. Because when I detached the retina and then it redetached and then I got glaucoma, there was a lot of skullduggery going on, shall we say. There was a lot of lies and stuff like that, and I had to do what I had to do, you know, and I was taking care of my family. You know, I had like a code with Perillo, you know, because you still got to get tested before every fight, you know, by the local commissioned doctor. And if you just looked at my eye, I mean, obviously I have an eyepiece in now, but if you just looked at my eye, you could clearly see it was messed up. Do you know what I mean? You did not need to be a doctor to see that. Anyone could look and say, that's messed up. And I used to think, all they've got to do is cover up one eye and go, how many fingers? And I'm done. And a lot of them didn't do that because I had the paperwork. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And they just took that. But then some of them would say, how many fingers? And I'd be like, right, Perillo. If they ask that, if it's one finger, just, yawn in the background. If it's two, just like, tap, just give a click or whatever. We came up with these stupid codes. It was very, very stressful, you know, because you always thought, I always thought, you know, you're going to go through the hardship of a training camp. You're going to then fly your team to the other side of the world, pay for hotels, all the rest of it. And then at the last minute, the day of the weigh-ins, not get cleared to fight. So not only is your career kind of done, but you've just gone through a training camp and the expense of it all and the flights and the hotels for nothing, you know, so, but, you know, it is what it is.
Michael, this was a huge treat to have you on the MIGHTYcast, man. Big fan of you. I love the podcast. I love the YouTube channel. I'm a big fan. I'm subscribed. I leave comments in there all the time. Love the movie stuff you do. Love all the stuff you're doing. Is there anything you want to tell the fans where they can reach you, where they can follow your career? What movies you got coming out that we can, maybe get our tickets to go see? Come on.
You know what? Listen, and thank you very much for the platform. I appreciate it, but I always kind of cringe at these moments. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, guys, follow me on Twitter. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, guys, be sure to subscribe. Don't, right? If you want to do that, go ahead. But I ain't gonna lower myself to begging people to do it. Do you know what I'm saying? I just can't. It's just the way I am. If you want to do that, fucking go ahead. Movies, Red Sonja, Den of Thieves 2, and then what was it called? Fucking Fight Another Day. Got those 3 coming out soon. What else is going? Oh, I will say this, though. I did a show 2 years ago called Tales from the Octagon. It was a tour in the UK, basically just me on a stage for 2 hours. It was great. It was sold out. Like in Manchester, we had 3,500 people. It was wild.
Damn.
It was a really, really fun night. Everyone enjoyed it themselves. So I'm doing that again in December. December 14th in London at the O2, and then December 16th and Saturday, the Indigo at the O2, I should say, not the 20,000 seat arena. The Apollo Theatre in Manchester. So if you want to get a ticket, and it'll be me, and then this time I'll be joined on stage by Tom Aspinall and Paul Craig. It's interactive. We'll be asking questions. We'll be getting drunk on stage. I'll be taking the piss out of everyone. It's just a very silly, fun night. MyTicket.co.uk, or just search Tales from the Octagon 2.
Boom.
Yeah, and even if Michael doesn't want to do it, give his YouTube. If you're subscribed to our YouTube, the Mighty Gaming YouTube, and not Michael's, it doesn't even make any sense because there's a huge crossover there. A lot of great content.
Yeah.
And also make sure to subscribe to the Believe You and Me podcast. I believe you just type in Michael Bisping podcast. Michael and Anthony Smith, great show. We've actually had DJ go on the show before, so
we're gonna get DJ back on.
Yeah, you just call, baby. You know, you got my number now.
Let me ask you this. Sorry, I'm not sure. My phone's being used right now. I'm going to subscribe to your YouTube channel right now. So how often do you upload videos?
So we upload videos. I feel like I'm a reporter now because we're always chasing the biggest story. Me and Michael, we kind of, me and Michael.
Yeah, that's why I hate to be the one to be like, oh, Logan Paul, Dylan Dennis. Like we hate this shit as much as anyone, but we kind of are following what's trending.
I don't want to say I hate it. Stuff. I don't want to say I hate it because I had some good ass laughs watching the Face Off, watching the lie detector, watching all the Nina stuff on Twitter. Like I have some good laughs, but we try to just, maybe do one every other day. Obviously, this one's gonna be posted tomorrow. We're filming it Tuesday, so we'll post it tomorrow. And then we'll do another, my final predictions of what's gonna happen at UFC 294 with Hazmat and Islam, and then we'll do the live reaction. So it just all depends on what's going on, but this week's pretty busy for us.
No, it's weird, like the YouTube stuff, and I know we're finished and I need the bathroom, so I'm going to go. For me, it kind of came across, it happened accidentally. I never thought I'd be sitting there saying that I did a YouTube channel. I did I think I did an advert for DraftKings or something, and it had to be on my Instagram. So I had to do like a prediction. So I did like a breakdown of the fight and all the rest of it. And when I was done with it, I posted it on my Instagram, and I looked at it and I thought that was pretty good. You know, I was quite tickled with myself with the presentation and the analysis. I thought that was good. And I had a YouTube channel that I started doing in like 2006 and 7, just training blogs in my early UFC days. And I thought, do I remember that password? And I haven't looked at that in almost 20 years. So I guessed the password and I got it. So I uploaded it and I forgot all about it. And then I went back a couple of weeks later and it had like 150,000 views or something. I thought, holy shit, wow. I know the comments were really encouraging and all the rest of it. So I thought, I'll do another one. And I did another one. And then another one. Just for, you know, because it was fun and the interaction on the comments. Then I got an email from YouTube saying I qualify for monetization. Because I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing. I didn't know you could monetize or anything. I swear to God. And then I got an email. I'm like, well, you can get paid for this shit. And I know YouTubers get paid, but I'm like, how did he get paid? I don't know. Literally, John Brannigan, he's my editor. He's taught me so much. I was so dumb to it all. And then the first month, I was like, shit, that's pretty good. So I guess now I'm a YouTuber. And if anyone has a problem with that, go yourselves. This has been the Mighty Mouse Podcast. I have been Michael Bisping, joined by the one, the only, the great Mighty Mouse Demetrious Johnson, one of the greatest fighters of all time. And I truly mean that, Demetrious. Thank you for having me on. Truly a pleasure. Subscribe, ring the bell to Demetrius' show. I'm going to go. Take it easy. Goodbye. All the best. Bon voyage.
All right, here we go. All right. Is there anything you don't want to talk about, Chandler? You pretty much an open book?
I'm good. Open book.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the MIGHTYcast. And we have the one and only, the most exciting athlete, fighter in the world to ever grace the cage, octagon, the Bellator cage, you name it, Michael Chandler. What's going on, Chandler? Welcome to the show.
Sub legend, dude. It's good to be with you, man. I'm excited to go out there and compete again. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, first off, your skin looks absolutely amazing. You're probably the only other guest that I've had. I'm sitting there. I was like, this. You know, you've been in some wars. I'll never forget you in the war, and you're home with your, back home with your wife and kids. You had the ice pack on your face, and you're like, you're like, son, I made a decision that it go my way, but don't you worry, I'll be fine. I'll see you at the top. And I can see the skin. You heal damn well. You heal very well. You got a skincare routine you do?
I don't actually. My wife is who's in the aesthetic industry, actually talks to me every day about how I need to be putting lotion on my skin and do all this stuff. Number one, we get drug tested, so like all of the stuff that she uses has like growth factors and all kinds of like probably illegal stuff in it that could end up in your bloodstream. So I don't touch any of her stuff. If I ever even use lotion, it's just some like CeraVe, whatever, regular stuff. But no, I don't really even use lotion, man. And yeah, my face has been turned inside out a couple times. There is one thing that she does at her clinic called it's like a vampire facial, was what it's like. It's on the street, but it's called micro needling, where they hit you with like 1,000 of those little needles, pull out your PRP, and then inject PRP into your face. So, obviously where we get these scars, where you can break open again. So that's the one thing that I've done that I really think has made me not look like too much of a caveman.
See, my wife, she's got her micro needling done, and I get the Diamond Glow. It's basically they go with a little small blade, and they just basically take all like the blackheads and the whiteheads off, scrape all that stuff off. And I'm like, hey, you ain't gonna charge me full price, okay? Because I got half the face. All I got is this right here. You ain't getting none of this. And so she was like, maybe they could do your bald head. And I was like, no, they don't need to touch that. Just do this part right here. But your skin looks great, man. Like I said, I noticed. Nice. I was like, God, his skin looks fucking good. I was like, good for Chandler. Good for Chandler. Okay, like you said,
I've been lucky.
Yeah, like you said, you've been in some wars. I think the very first time I ever noticed you fight was when you were battling against Eddie Alvarez. Like those two fights, you guys fought in Bellator, you guys fought 2 times. You guys fought once in UFC, correct?
No, we were supposed to fight a 3rd time in Bellator, but we only fought twice in Bellator.
That's right. And he left and you stayed. And then I remember there was a point in time when I was talking to Eddie Alvarez, he was telling you to go somewhere else. I'm not sure. But he was like, dude, we can make so much money if I fought Chandler for a third time. And I was like, well, I think Chandler is going to stay here. But those 2 fights at Bellator were absolute bangers. Like, would you say those were the fights that put you on the map?
Yeah, I would say definitely the first one. I mean, the second one was up for fight of the year. It was crazy back and forth battle. That was one of those ones where my face was all jacked up. I definitely lost the fight, but it was so close, man. It was a split decision, which coincidentally now my head coach, Henry Hooft, was in Eddie's corner for that fight. Yeah, the first one especially, man, I was 18 months into the sport. And that was the reason I signed with Bellator. I had a Strikeforce contract and a Bellator contract on the table at the exact same time. I decided to go to the Bellator route because I had a clear path to the championship. Like I would go fight 2 fights in a matter of 2 or 3 months. Then I'd be eligible to be in the Bellator tournament. And then 3 fights in 3 months, win those 3 fights, win the tournament. Then I immediately go fight Eddie Alvarez for the title. So that was the path that was laid out for me. And I took it and I fought six times in 13 months. And one of those was Eddie Alvarez in November of 2011. And it was fight of the year. And that one won the world title. And then the rest is history.
Why so many fights in such a short time? Why 6 fights in 13 months?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was, I think I fought September and October of 2010. And then I fought March, April, May of 2011. And then November of 2011. Because the tournament was 3 fights in 3 months. It was like you fought in March. I almost got my leg ripped off by Marcin Held, like sprained my MCL, sprained my LCL because he caught me in a leg in a knee bar. And then 3.5 weeks later, I'm cutting weight and stepping into the Bellator cage again to fight Lloyd Woodard and then to go fight Patricky Pitbull. So, yeah, it was just the 3 fights in 3 months. Then I had a couple months off to train for Eddie Alvarez and then fought him in November. But I had those 2 prior to kind of get me into the Bellator tournament. I had to win those first 2 to prove myself. And then 6 fights in 13 months.
God damn, once you jump in this sport, they put your ass to work like a working horse. They give you nothing. They're like, come on, let's go. Come on.
Yeah. And that's what I wanted. Well, I mean, very similar to when I came over to the UFC. I sat down with Hunter Campbell and I said, hey man, I'm 34 years old. Like I'm not here to beat around the bush. Throw me into the shark infested waters. And then in the first 26 months of being signed with the UFC, I had 6 training camps and 5 fights, every single one, fight of the night, fight of the year, crazy fight for the world title. So it's been kind of interesting having the last almost 2 years off. People are, it's the what have you done for me lately business are like, Chandler's inactive and Chandler doesn't fight and Chandler's waiting for the bread painting night, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, boys, all I did was show up and work my ass off for freaking 26 months. And I took a little bit of a break. Now we're making a title run.
It's interesting you say that because, when we sit back and we look at like people who are active and inactive, you are one of those athletes when you first jumped on the scene in the UFC, you were super active. You were fighting badass fights. The fight with Charles Oliveira was sick. The Tony Ferguson fight was sick. I watch that fight almost every day because it's at the UFC Fit. It's one of the highlights. You kick him in the face. You do like 18 backflips. So you were super active, and all of a sudden, you get the opportunity to fight Conor McGregor. We'll harp on that in a second, but I want to go back to the Bellator thing. You were one of the athletes. There's so many different organizations out there. Right now you have PFL, you have One Championship, you have Ryzen, and you have the UFC. And everybody in North America is like, oh, if you don't fight for the UFC, you're one of the best. So there was a point in time where you were the best in Bellator, but nobody, looked at you as legitimate because you weren't in the UFC. What was the mindset of you like, you know what? I've conquered everything in Bellator. You had some ups and downs with the Pitbull brothers. But you're like, I'm going to go to the UFC. What was that thought process of like, hey, because I'm pretty sure you're making good money at Bellator. And then when you came to the UFC, you had to prove yourself to make some more money. Was it you searching out for the competition? Because even for me, when I left the UFC, I was like, I beat all these motherfuckers already. For the most part, like the top 10 guys that were there at the time, like Henry, John Dotson, I don't know if he was there, but all those guys. But I was like, I want some fresh blood. I want a new chapter, a new beginning. So that's why I went to One Championship. What was your thought process when you decided to leave Bellator and go to the UFC?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit different because even though I was the biggest name in Bellator, right? Even though I had lost the title to Patricio, I was still the biggest name by far, the most well known, the biggest name, but I needed more competition as well because I had already fought all those guys as well. I mean, I lost to Patricio, and then I ended up fighting Sidney Outlaw and then rematching Benson Henderson again, and they were like. And I'm like, hey, boys, like if I sign again, like what am I going to do? Rematch Patricky for a third time, rematch Benson for a third time, Brent Primus for a third time. So I kind of was in that situation that you were in because except you were the most dominant guy in the entire world, right? So you're like, it made a lot of sense for you too. You're like, you want as athletes, even if it's the right organization or even if it's a great situation. I mean, sometimes you just need to change the scenery. Whether it's changing your gym, some guys change gyms, some guys move across the country, some guys change organizations. I knew too, mine was definitely going to the UFC to fight different and tougher competition for me at the lightweight division at that point in time. And I just knew if I didn't go to the UFC and test myself against the guys that I knew I wanted to fight, the Gaethjes, the Poiriers, the Fergusons at the time, Khabib was not retired at that time. I wanted to go throw myself into that mix. And so I bet on myself and had a really tough last fight. Benson Henderson was a very tough, very, very tough last fight on your contract because you might beat Benson Henderson, but you're not always going to look great doing it usually. The first fight, he's so durable, man. So I didn't look phenomenal fighting him. And then luckily I was able to get him out of there in the first or second round, whatever it was. And then the rest is history. But I just knew I needed to go test myself in a different organization. I couldn't stay with Bellator my entire career. And that's why I made the decision. And luckily.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, like you said, you're one of the most exciting guys. You've won every single time you fought. You've got fight of the night bonus, fight of the year. And you've only been in UFC for what, 2 to 3 years now?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like I got shot out of a cannon. I fought hard for 2 years and then that was been like 2 years off. Yeah. Now I've been off for 2 years. So it's technically been almost, I think it was 4 years in September. Okay. But I've really only been active for 2. So it's, but I needed the time off. The time off was actually great for me. So
yeah, I think so too. Like I heard an interview, I heard you talk about like taking a time off, and it's kind of crazy that you took 2 years off to obviously wait. You filmed The Ultimate Fighter. And I feel like that's when you do The Ultimate Fighter, I feel like you have to be unselfish, right? Because as we know, mixed martial arts is a selfish sport, right? Like you're one of the athletes, and I want to talk to you about this later, is you leave your home, you leave the wife, you leave the kids, and you fly away and you do your training camp, and then you go back. Like you look at it as it's a job. So when you do The Ultimate Fighter, you basically put your career on ice a little bit, right? You put it on ice, you film The Ultimate Fighter, and then you're waiting to fight Conor McGregor. Was there ever point in time where you're like, man, fuck this, I ain't waiting for this motherfucker anymore? Because like I said, I feel you've always been, smart with your money. Meaning, like I've seen, your tour of your house. It's a beautiful house. You seem like you've made it, right? Was there ever a point in time I was like, I don't need this fight. Like, I don't need this fight. But what was your thought process? Like, why you're waiting? Like, for me, when I sit back, I'm like, God damn, that check might be $5-10 million. But do I need $5-10 million? Do I just want to fight Conor? Like, what? Like, when I sit there, I'm like, man, fuck. Challenge burning years off his career, right? So, but you say that it was a blessing in disguise. You got to chill with the wife and the kids, 2 years off to just take a breath of fresh air. Because we jumped in Bellator, 6 fights in 13 months. You fight everybody, become a world champion, you lose the belt, you jump in the UFC, boom, shot out of the cannon. You're fighting everybody, then boom, you get hit with this. Walk me through your mindset of that whole aspect of like, okay, I'm doing Ultimate Fighter, and then Conor had come back. He got too much money. He having too much of a good damn time.
Yeah, man. It was. I'd be lying if I didn't say that there was definitely some ups and downs with it when it comes to, one day feeling like, hey, I'm waiting is the best option, and then the next day saying, man, forget this, I'm going to do something else. But because I've been so smart with my money, because I didn't need Uncle Dana's paycheck to, I'm not going to lose my house. My bank account ain't going to go down. Like, I've got other things going on, other businesses, employees, other ways, multiple streams of income happening outside of just fighting. I'm an entrepreneur that fights in a cage and makes nice chunks of money. And then I put that money to work. And I've done that since I was 22 years old. I got into the sport. My first $100,000 I made when I won the Bellator tournament, bought my first house, lived in that house for 2 years. Then I turned it into a rental property, made good cash flow for the better part of 5 years, and then doubled my money on that house, and then put it in another house and doubled another. I've got 3 or 4 properties on the market right now that are going to sell. So it's nice because I wasn't beholden to that check. I've never been beholden to a Bellator check or a UFC check. So with that, it gave me the flexibility and the options to wait as long as I wanted to. And I know I needed it. This, I can tell you, and you can tell me that it's okay to be selfish, like you say, and say, hey man, you don't need to be active. If you need to take a little bit of time off, because these training camps are a grind. Right. And you become a different person. You're not the best husband. You're not the best father. You're just a freaking Spartan. You just turn into this guy. Right. And you're like, I need to be selfish right now and turn into this person. And when you do that time after time after time, and I mean, if you really think about it, I fought Benson Henderson in August of 2020. Signed with the UFC in September of 2020, became the backup in October of 2020 in the UFC, then fought my first fight in January of 2021, then fought Charles Oliveira in May of 2021. So if you talk about these 3 months in between opportunities, man, you're home for like 3 weeks and you go back into a training camp. Then every single fight is a do or die. You're about to get decapitated by Justin Gaethje, trying to get your head taken off by Dustin Poirier, Tony Ferguson, which is a crazy, intricate, scary, awkward fight, right? All of this pressure. So to be able to pull myself away from it, serve these guys on The Ultimate Fighter, 12 weeks on ESPN, which is a huge blessing. I got more sponsorship deals. The money was flowing in, and things worked out really, really well. And my platform continued to grow without having to get punched in the face. Plus, people have put so much emphasis on this age thing. And I'm talking to Demetrious Johnson right now, dude. You've been aging backwards for years. And like you said, you still could compete. You still are the number one guy in the entire world at your age. And you're too old. They tell you you're too old. You got too much scar tissue. You're slow. You're this. And it's like, no, man, as long as you take care of your body and think about the amount of domination fights that you have had where you didn't go out there and have an absolute war. That was me in Bellator a lot of times. I had some wars, but I also would do a training camp, go in there, knock a guy out in 1 minute, collect my check, kiss my wife, go home and hang out. Whereas some of these guys, AKA Charles Oliveira, who's been in the UFC since he was 19 years old, war after war after war, these guys might be younger than me biologically, but the miles on their body, they are actually older than me. So I knew I could take some time off and actually age backwards, get more of a zeal for the sport, fall back in love with the sport, because the sport was technically taken away from me for almost 2 years. And when something's taken away from you, you love it more. You love it back more. And I love the sport more now than I ever have. And I truly believe I beat Charles Oliveira November 16th. I fight Islam for the title, or Connor for this finally to put this thing to bed in early 2025. And we closed the storybook, man.
Ooh, I love it, man. I was sitting there when I'm with my brothers. I'm like, ooh, cook. Ooh, you cooking them, Michael. Ooh, keep cooking. And it feels good to hear you say that, right? Because, a lot of athletes don't do what you said, right? Like when you made your first check, you went and bought a house. You lived there for 2 years, boom, turn it into a rental. Then you bought another house. So technically, you don't have to fight. You don't have to, which makes it even sweeter. It's like, I don't have to fight, but I enjoy fighting. Right. And now you've been out for 2 years, you miss it, and you fall back in love with it. Right. So that's fucking awesome to hear. And I can only imagine sitting there, and, I can tell you right now, Connor's ass ain't coming back. The man's out there fucking doing his thing. Like when I sit there and I remember I saw he posted and I was like, do you guys think this motherfucker's coming back? This motherfucker is not coming back. You got a man like Michael Chandler who's in the gym grinding, just fucking, like you said, you're basically a Spartan. I just recently got home from Canada and I got to do 4 training sessions within less than like 48 hours. Like it was, my wife was like, you can be selfish. We came up here to train. So in the morning, I'm drilling jiu-jitsu, grips and all that stuff. Then we're getting like, 5 rounds in. Go eat sushi, take the kids to the bounce house, go back to gym, do another hour and a half session. The next morning, wake up, have my first form, have my protein, my glutamine, and my pre-workout, go back to the gym, do another, hour and a half, go rest, eat some more sushi, go back in. I was like, God damn, this feels good. Like, I wish I would have done this in my camp. I wonder what I would have been like if I would have trained like that, where I'm at now in my age. So I agree with you. You're just focused. And when I see you focus and I see Conor McGregor on a fucking yacht and his fucking, Versace cut off, daddy underwear, I was like, this motherfucker ain't coming back. Props to you for waiting. Props for you to waiting.
It made sense. I mean, the good thing is at least we had a bout agreement signed. We had a contract all the way up until 2 weeks before the fight, which either way, he still didn't fight. Is he still coming back? We don't know, but we at least had a bout agreement signed. I mean,
that's good. That's good. I didn't know you guys had a bout agreement signed. So that's close, right? You get that bout agreement signed. He signs it. It's locked. It's set. And then I don't know why it fell through, but. Yeah. His broken pinky toe, which once again kind of lends itself to the haters that he's never coming back. And I'm 50-50 on it. I mean, and the good thing is it was a fun ride, right? It was a fun ride. I have no regrets, and I also take all accountability. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at the media. I'm not mad at Conor. I'm not mad because I get that question, man. Are you mad at Conor? Have you changed your mindset of who Conor is? And I'm like, no. I made this decision. Accountability is a superpower. And my greatest superpower is discipline, doing the right thing, and accountability. If I lose, I lost. If I win, I win. If I wait for Conor for a year and a half and it doesn't come to fruition, that was on me. But also, what I realized, a reoccurring theme in my life is when I was in college, man, I was an absolute psychopath. All I wanted to do was win a national title because I was a walk-on. I walked on. Nobody knew my name. I wasn't supposed to be there. Coach thought I was going to quit. So I had nothing to lose. So I had to do extra work. And as a 18-year-old bright-eyed and bushy-tailed freshman walk-on, I was the exact same way when I was a fifth-year senior. And during my senior year, my coach, Brian Smith, had to pull me out of practice. And he'd say, Michael, come into my office. And go sit down in the office. And he'd say, hey, listen, for the next 72 hours, you're not allowed to come into the Hearn Center, which is where we lift and do our wrestling practices. I am not allowed to see you for 72 hours. And I'm like, wait, coach, so all these guys are going to be training and I'm not allowed to come and do the stuff with the team. Can I just come in to watch? He's like, no, I don't want to see you for 72 hours. And then I would take that 72 hour break and I would come back and I would have a different mindset, a different appreciation because he saw what I would do to myself because I put so much pressure on myself to do things, not just do things right, but to do things perfectly. And I put so much pressure on myself. So it's kind of funny that 15, 16 years later, the sport, Brian Smithed me and pulled me out of the sport to then give myself a different mindset and a different view and a different vision of what the sport is and how much I truly love it. So, and maybe if I would not have had that, maybe I fight my next fight and I lose because I'm just, it wasn't that I didn't love the sport. I was just, and I don't want to use the word tired, but I was just tired, man. The sport will grind you down to a pulp. And I needed some time off. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like you're fighting. You're at the top of the food chain. You're fighting the best in the world. Every single guy you fought so far in UFC is an absolute killer. So I think I've always thought when an athlete wants to take time off, I think it's always good, especially financially. If you can do it, then do it because you get the opportunity to actually reset, rethink about it, look at the sport in a different perspective, and once again, fall in love with it. And I'm excited to see what new version of Michael Chandler comes out because one of the things I've always, admire about you is your conditioning. Your conditioning is probably top notch. It is top notch, and your training regimen you do. I feel like this, my opinion, you might do more strength and conditioning than you do mixed martial arts. I could be wrong. It's probably what I see you post, but you do.
I do.
Okay, talk to me about that because I used to be the exact same way when I first started training at my training camp, and then Matt was like, "Dude, you're breaking your fucking body down. You can't even like." He was like, "I understand," because I used to do CrossFit, and he was like, "CrossFit is designed to, I don't want all the fuck CrossFit people coming out there after me, right? But it's like you're supposed to do a workout as fast as you can. 15 snatches, 15 pull-ups, 15, push-ups, 15 burpees, 15 thrusters, whatever it may be, as fast as you can. Instead of like, okay, I have this amount of workload and I have a 5-round fight, 25 minutes. How am I going to pace myself? When do I turn the gas on? When do I turn it off? And at the tail end of my career, I did no strength and conditioning. I basically did beach body muscle just to keep my muscle strong. But other than that, it was like my conditioning came from pad work. It came from sparring. It came from hard rounds of grappling. And then that's when it was like, okay, well, now when I fight, it's like, okay, pop, 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 pop. I can move better and I can pace myself. But you're saying you do the opposite. You focus more on strength and conditioning than mixed martial arts. Walk me through that mindset of why you rather do it that way. Because sometimes when you fight, I'm like, this motherfucker ain't slowing down. He just keeps on going. And then I'm like, is Michael tired? Or is he, or what's going on here? Because when you, and I think you can agree, when you fight, you fucking go. It's like, all right, here we go. Tell me about this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's definitely interesting. And I think I'm one of the only guys that has this mindset. And I think part of it is, number one, just proximity to what you have at your disposal. In Nashville, when I'm outside of training camp, I'm in Nashville. I have a world-class, awesome, one of my best friends in the world. His name is Jeremy Holt. He's a phenomenal strength and conditioning coach. It's very close to my house. It's convenient, and it's something different because I do think, you know how it is, man. You do a 10-week training camp. By week 3, you're like, man, I've been in this gym 3 times a day, three times a day, every day, 6 days a week. And you're like, dude, this whole MMA thing, I like it. And I'm very thankful for what I get to do, but you're like, dude, I want to change the scenery. So I think I pull myself out of mixed martial arts, keep my body built up, strong, flexible, explosive, conditioned in these strength and conditioning sessions, and then come down to Florida and train with my team. I've got a gym that I own in Nashville called Nashville MMA. And I got a couple guys that I train with, but also you got to be careful with the guys that you go with, because to me, I think it's easier to get injured doing mixed martial arts than it is lifting, for my body type, at least. I've done strength and conditioning, man. And at 38 years old, it sounds crazy. And people probably think you're lying when you say it too, but I feel better at 38 years old than I ever have. Yeah, I got some little bumps and bruises, of course. I got 38-year-old scar tissue and all my joints, of course, but I feel phenomenal. So I just think not always being in the MMA scene, in the MMA gym, makes it new and fresh when it's time to start a training camp. If I start a 12-week training block in the mixed martial arts gym every single day, a couple hours a day in the morning, a couple hours a day in the evening, then it's just new and it's fresh. And yeah, truthfully, when I get back into a training camp, I'm like, okay, my rhythm is off, my timing is off, my distance is off. I don't have power on my punches. I don't have the conditioning. But then as long as you show yourself the grace, 2 weeks in, you're like, okay, damn, I'm one of the best in the world. I'm back at it. I'm back on the bicycle, right? So I don't want to make it sound like I'm not disciplined in the way that I work hard in mixed martial arts, but I just think I'm always working on my body. I'm constantly trying to turn back the hands of time and make sure that my body is conditioned and in shape. And then when it comes down to doing mixed martial arts skill, I do it for short bursts leading up to a fight, which short for us is, 12 weeks or whatever. And then by fight night, I feel fresh and ready to go.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is that when you're home, you're at a camp, you're focused on strength and conditioning, keeping your body strong, turning back the hands of time, right? And then when you go into camp in Florida, wherever it may be, where you're doing your camp, you're just focused on mixed martial arts. You basically cut away all the strength and conditioning, or you're doing.
I mean, we do strength and conditioning twice a week here in Florida, but it's very. Okay. I would almost call it maintenance. We're not. Yep. You're not getting to the point where you look down and go, "Dang, dude, I'm building muscle right now." Because truthfully, for me, going from 190 to 155, I need to muscle waste a little bit. I need to be at a calorie deficit for 10 weeks just to make 155. So I'm not really worried about lifting weights at all. And I've added some extra cardio now. So I do a 10x bike workout, which we do a hypermax oxygen. I'm breathing in oxygen. I do that every single day, cold plunge every single day, pimp mat and red light every single day. So that's my extra little session that I do to work on human optimization when I'm actually in camps.
Gotcha. Okay. So I kind of, That makes sense. Like that's kind of like I think what a lot of people should do. I didn't know if you when you're in training camp, it's like, okay, when you're doing your 12 weeks prior to fighting Charles or Justin or whoever it may be, I didn't know if you're doing, okay, my strength and conditioning is going to be strength and just training, and then it's going to be 70% of that, and then 30% of mixed martial arts. But you're saying when you're at home with the wife and kids, you're like, I'm trying to stay fit. I'm 190, 195. I'm not eating at a calorie deficit. I'm eating as much calories as possible, trying to build muscle. And then when it's time to go to Florida, get ready. I got to shed, all this muscle and weight for 12 weeks. You're not really focused on, you're just doing a little maintenance just to keep the beach body muscles looking strong, right?
Yeah. And my strength and conditioning sessions are less strength and more conditioning. I mean, every single thing we do is fast, explosive, a lot of reps, lighter weight, a lot of reps, a lot of med ball stuff, a lot of explosive stuff. So it's almost like we're simulating explosions and fight pace during my strength and conditioning sessions. And that's how me and Jeremy have formulated it. Well, Jeremy has formulated it for me over the last 8 years. And it's done my body good, man. I feel like I'm just as explosive and just as fast as I've ever been. And I actually have lost a little bit of muscle, which I'm actually happy about. I just did a DEXA scan. I'm like 2.5 pounds down of pure muscle and like an extra 2% of visceral fat, which is good. I mean, at 38 years old,
that's great.
I want to keep on as much muscle as possible. But when you talk about conditioning, because I fight so freaking hard at such a high pace, it's almost impossible to keep the pace that I start out with, So it's not like I'm out of shape just because I slow down. It's because I started at a 12 when I should have started at a 6. And most guys are like, hey, I'm just going to stay at a 5 and maybe go up to a 7 and stay at a 5 or a 7. I'm like, no, baby, I'm throwing everything in. I'm starting at a 16 right away.
Yeah, no, you do it, right? And it's just the amount of muscle and athleticism and explosiveness that you have. Like you said, you go to a 12, you drop down to 6. Everybody's like, a 6 is good. But if you started at 12, everybody's like, oh man, he went to a 6. I'm like, oh, he must be tired because it's too hard, right? You ask Usain Bolt to run the 100-meter dash as hard as he can for 10 times back to back. His times are going to be, 9.8 and 9.2 or whatever. It's going to be 9.8, 10, maybe 9.9. Then it's going to slowly start to decline because the body can only output so much energy. And sometimes I watch you fight and I was like, this man's going, and you hit some shots, you're fast, you're in and out, and then you don't slow up. And so I was always curious about your condition. I was like, man, I know he's not tired because a body like that, a motherfucker can't be tired. But he went in at 12, so he tried to go to 8, and 12 to 8, you decline. And so I've always wanted to pick your brain about that because I'm like, what does Michael Chandler do in his conditioning? What's the mindset? And then why is it you go straight to 12? Do you ever feel like, okay, I'm gonna warm the oven up? I tell my boy Michael, he'd be going on dates with girls. I'm like, you gotta warm that oven up. You can't just throw that motherfucking boy on 450. You're gonna burn the steak. You gotta warm it up and ease into it. You ever thought about easing into the fight?
Listen, I have now, man. And truth be told, man, like it's funny, right? We watch the people that we admire from afar. I've watched you from afar, watched all your fights, and I've watched put your Mount Rushmore of your 5 or 10 favorite guys that you like to watch. And some you like to watch because they're crazy and they're fun and they're exciting. And some you watch because they're such great professionals. They're so disciplined. They're so poised. They're so confident. They're so smart and sharp and calm and composed. I mean, I've never fought like that, but I've always admired guys like that. And I think that's what this time off really made me take a different perspective and thought, man, Michael, the only reason you are who you are and you have accomplished what you've accomplished is because of your discipline. You are so disciplined in the kitchen. You are so disciplined in the gym. You are so disciplined with your social life. You're so disciplined in your marriage as a father. You're so disciplined is your superpower. Yet that cage door closes and your discipline is nowhere to be found. Right. So yeah, it's like, so I think I've definitely mulled over that. And I've just been visualizing a different type of fight. It's still going to be exciting. It's still going to be explosive. It's still going to be all the stuff that I always have been, but maybe I don't start it at a 12 and maybe it feels really weird and it looks really weird. And it's not a on brand Michael Chandler fight, but it's going to put me in the best situation possible to get my hand raised so I can go win that title. I've only got a couple more opportunities to do this. This is my last chance to take a title run. And if I don't make the best of it right now, It's never going to happen again in my entire life. So I've got to take a full advantage of that.
Absolutely. Where does the discipline come from? You talk about, discipline at home, discipline in the gym, discipline throughout your whole entire life. Whatever thing you do, you eating, discipline, your strength and conditioning, discipline. Where does that discipline come from? Like I'm a disciplined person, but it came from me. Like, I got to make money. When I started being good and be disciplined with my money, disciplined with the way I'm eating, I started to see results. So that's where mine came from. But for you, where does your discipline come from?
I'd say it started with my parents. My parents were just two really hardworking middle-class people. My dad was a carpenter. My mom worked in my grandpa's business. She was a secretary, kind of handled everything. They never complained. They worked 2 and 3 jobs. So that's where I got the work ethic and realized that if you do the right thing and you do it over and over and recreate it every single day, good things will happen. But then also, the greatest experience of my entire life was walking on to the University of Missouri. So when I walked on, I was the only guy who wasn't on scholarship, essentially. I was the lowest guy on the totem pole. So I wasn't going to win matches, or I wasn't going to get better because of the talent that I had. I had to only outwork people and have more discipline than people. I had to do extra work. I had to show up early. I had to stay late. I had to do the things that the other guys weren't willing to do. So I had that experience. And that was when the discipline really started. It's like, hey, the guys wanted to go out and do their thing on the weekends. I'm like, no, man, I might show up and hang out, but I'm not drinking and I'm not staying out past 10. We got practice tomorrow. We got this, we got that. And I started to realize how I started at the bottom and then passed every single person up in my class. And these were state champions, multiple state champions, freaking, national champions in high school and all this stuff. And all of a sudden I end up passing all of them up and I become an All-American when I wasn't supposed to be there. And it all came back to the discipline and doing things right every single day. So then when I got into mixed martial arts and then I started seeing the way guys live their lives, I'm like, man, this is going to be so much easier to be so much more disciplined than all of these guys. All I got to do is just be here long enough. And really, it's discipline and it's also just perseverance, man. Like, the only reason we found the success that we had was because we were willing to continue to stay here longer than most people were willing to. Be disciplined for longer, hard working for longer, doing the right things for longer, being a good employee for longer, doing the right thing, being a good leader on the team for longer. So here I am at 38 years old. And I've just been doing it for so long that I've never wavered one little bit. I'm still that 14-year-old kid at Northwest High School. I'm still that 18-year-old kid who walked onto the University of Missouri team. And discipline is my superpower because it's worked every single time. And I've just seen the fruits of the labor. And even when I lose, I always end up coming back. Even when I lose, I usually win anyway because it was a great fight. And the discipline takes care of itself if you just do the small things. If you can be trusted with the small things, then and only then can you be trusted with the big, massive things. And I've lived that out the last 16 years of my career.
I have some inside info right now on that Mizzou subject. I'm texting your great friend Tyron Woodley, and so I asked him to give me some good inside info. First of all, he says, tell him that you told him to say that Miguel says hello.
Miguel, dude.
I don't know what that means.
Miguel from Nacho Libre, dude. The movie Nacho Libre.
Oh, Lord.
And then also beyond that, on the topic you were saying, he texted me, the coach at Mizzou uses Chandler as a standard and a measuring stick of hard work to this day, 20 years later, all the way back from 2004. And I guess he says the Tiger style logo for the University of Missouri is a picture of Michael Chandler flexing after a big victory. So he basically told me he's one of your Tyron Woodley's favorite training partners, your drilling partner, and that he also helped you get into MMA, which I didn't know that. So getting some inside info from Woodley there.
Yeah, man. I just got chills like whenever you say that, because it's just, nobody believed that I should have done what I did, right? Like I was supposed to go to Missouri Baptist or Lindenwood or one of these other schools. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for some reason, the 18-year-old me said, no, I'm going to go to Mizzou. And even if I ride the bench for 5 years, even if I never get to put on that Mizzou singlet and never become a starter, nobody likes me. Nobody thinks I'm good. I'm like the outcast. I don't care. I want to go try to wrestle at the highest level. And it turns out that it ended up working out. Like it was the greatest decision ever. And yeah, Coach Smith tells me that every single time. He's like, I use your name to our incoming class every single year. And I tell them, it doesn't matter if you're our number one recruit or the lowest guy on the totem pole. It does not matter who you have been leading up to this. It only matters who you are today and who you will be moving forward. And it's just, life is a meritocracy. And it always works out for those who work the hardest and do the right things, man. And I was truly blessed. I really would not be here today if it wasn't for Tyron Woodley and Ben Askren. Like, those guys being older than me, guys that I looked up to. I was the oldest of three boys. I didn't have big brothers. When I walked on to Mizzou, Tyron was really one of the first people that ever really talked to me. Thank God he was from St. Louis, so he kind of knew who I was. But we didn't really have a relationship. And all of a sudden, he's a returning All-American. He's a fifth-year senior. And he's like, hey, man, I want you to drill with me. I'm like, wait, me? I don't even barely know how to wrestle. You want me to drill with you? And partly because he knew I would show up. He knew I would show up on time. He knew he could do whatever he wanted to. If he was like, hey, dude, we're going to do 100 of these or 200 of these, and we're going to go for 7 hours, I'd be like, sweet, dude. Are you sure you don't want to go for 8 hours? I'll do 8 hours if you want to, So with that, and then Tyron became my coach the next year, and then he poured into me even more and helped me believe in myself more than he believed in me more than I believed in myself. And so I started thinking, well, shoot, if Tyron thinks I could be a starter, well, shoot, maybe I could be a starter. And all of a sudden I became a starter. And all of a sudden Tyron thinks I can be a national qualifier. Well, shoot, if Tyron thinks I can be a national qualifier, maybe I can be a national qualifier. So it's just funny how God's got you in the palm of his hand, and he sprinkles these little people inside of your path the entire time. And without those people, without those experiences, without those things, sometimes awesome, sometimes bad, sometimes you need tough things to go through. Sometimes you need losses to become the man you need to be, man. And it's just, it was the greatest athletic decision I ever made in my entire life was walking on the University of Missouri. And I wouldn't be where I am today without it. And then here I am 16 years later, finding success in the sport of mixed martial arts because of it.
I love that.
Tyron just responded, and he said, I wouldn't be here without you. So he feels the same way about, he would not be where he is in his career and his life without you.
Well, we got a good little brotherhood, man. It's it's like the sport of mixed martial arts is awesome. You know, DJ, I'm sure you got guys, you're like, dude, I trained with that guy for this many camps and this, but so wrestling was just different in the sense that it wasn't as much of an individual sport. It was a team, and you're young too. You know, like you're so young, you don't really know. You're figuring out things. Nobody's married.
Together.
You're growing together. You're figuring out new things about life, like what is drinking and what is partying and what is girls and what is like all of these. Like you're trying to figure out your view on what life is, right? Compared to mixed martial arts, you're kind of already a man, and you got a wife and kids and stuff. It's just different. So that time was so special, and I think back to it often, and it's thank God Tyron wanted to use me as a dummy for the first his last year, because we built a heck of a relationship, and it made me better, man. I'm like, damn, I almost took Tyron down today. I almost got that single leg. I almost, it was probably not that close, but to me it was close enough to be like, oh, I am getting better. So it made me believe in myself.
Damn. No, I love that. So the discipline started from a very, 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 very young age, and you stuck with it your whole entire life. Even at 38, you feel the best you've ever felt. You've been successful financially, where you've been able to put your money to work for yourself, not worried about like, Connor, are we going to fight? Dan, I need to fight. You took 2 years to just, focus on yourself. And I'm happy to hear that, because a lot of athletes, when they go through career or they've had as many fights as you, they can't say the same thing, right? Like you even mentioned it when you were talking about discipline. Like you were so disciplined through 14 years old, high school, college, and then you jump into mixed martial arts. You see all the other people around you in MMA. Like back in the old days, I'll never forget, Jens Pulver, he would come to us and train for his fights. This is the tail end of his career. But even prior to that, there was a lot of guys who didn't train between training camps. You know what I mean? So when you say you look at the discipline they had and the discipline you had, you knew it was going to make it easy. And that's one of the things that I saw too, that I felt made me successful in my career, is that even after I got done fighting, I didn't blow back up. I didn't get fat. I didn't get out of shape. I've always had my fucking conditioning. Like I never just like, not fighting, I'm going to just get fat now, just be out of shape and da-da-da-da, because it's a lifestyle. And I felt like you've lived that lifestyle your whole entire life. Like I've never seen you without your fucking core, like your Ninja Turtle abs. Never.
Yeah,
not
dude.
once.
Well, and that's, I mean, and shouldn't that be the way it is, man? You're a professional athlete. You are a professional athlete who gets paid to do a sport, and you get paid to go fight in a cage, man. And you got kids looking up to you, and you got a billion dudes on the planet who would trade places with you they would give anything to trade places with you. And you want to bastardize the blessing that you have of this well-enabled body, and get fat, that's why, I've talked to Paddy Pimblett about it. I'm like, hey dude, I know we're in the same weight class, but dude, I'm a fan of you. I want you to be good and do your thing. But dude, you can't be getting up to 210 and become fat Paddy with your big old face, dude, because not only is it just disrespectful to the blessings that you have an image to uphold, you're a professional athlete, but also it's bad physiologically, man. Your body, pumping your body full of stuff. And let's not kid ourselves. We have some alcohol, we have some bad food, we enjoy pizza. Like you got to have a little bit of, you can't just be a robot, but you have to do it in moderation. And when you look at yourself in the mirror and say, all right, you're getting a little fluffy, like let's turn it back on. Let's show some discipline, because ultimately I think that's why my body is held up so well. And it's probably the same thing for you, because when you don't balloon up, you don't let your body harbor all that inflammation, and you're just more proud of yourself, man. Nobody can look in the mirror. You look in the mirror and you look good. You're gonna train good. You're gonna be good to your family. You're gonna provide better. Like it's a thing, man. It's a story as old as time. So don't do that to yourself.
Yep, you're gonna look good, you're gonna smell good, and you're gonna make love good too. So, speaking of, you mentioned a little bit of kids, right? Are your kids doing any sports right now? Like, I got my oldest, he's in jiu-jitsu, my middle's in jiu-jitsu, he also plays football, and my daughter, she does gymnastics. How about you? You have this disciplined lifestyle that it's been embedded in you. How are you trying to embed that same type of discipline in with your children, right? Like, are they doing sports? Because for me, like, my oldest, man, yesterday, he does a tournament. He wins double gold in gi and no gi. We're all celebrating him. Good job, Tyron. Good job. My middle son, he's very quiet. He's very reserved. He had a football game, and if they won this game, they're going to the playoffs. So, and then it's gridiron. So it's like you're going to play only if you're good. So they give my son, Maverick is my middle son's name. He gets in there. He gets the ball. He runs it. He runs a touchdown. We're all celebrating. Good job, Maverick. My oldest is like, I should have done football. So and I'm like, motherfucker. I was like, we need to celebrate other people. Have some respect. Have some discipline. I don't teach you that. I don't get envious of my teammates when we went to Worlds. I didn't take first place. I lost, right? But my teammate, he took first place, and I'm sitting around, I'm celebrating him. I was like, we celebrate others' victories because we want to see everybody succeed. So you have that same mindset. You, even when you lose, I feel like you still win, because you're like, I see you at the top. I did lose. I'm gonna go home to my beautiful wife and my kids, but I'll see you guys at the top. Always positive mindset. How are you trying to set your children the standard of the discipline and the positivity?
It's a good question. So right now, yes, my sons are both, my son Hap right now just finished baseball. He's done baseball, basketball, football, and he enjoys it. We want to keep him in sports as much as possible. A, it's good for socialization. B, it's good for coordination and growth. It's good to win. It's good to lose. It's good to experience all these things. My parenting style is because I know exactly who I am, I almost overcompensate to make sure that they're just still having fun right now. The most important thing for me is that they associate sports with fun. So I'm never hard on them. Now, you said the word standard. Like we have like a family crest of like who the Chandlers are, what our standards are, how we operate, how we always show up on time, we're never late, how we work hard, how we hustle, how we do the right thing. Like we have all these different things that we do. And those are taught both in sports and just in everyday regular life, right? But more than anything right now, just having them involved in team sports. I made the decision, because people are always like, hey man, you want him to wrestle? I'm like, hey, if he came home and he told me, hey dad, I want to wrestle, 100%. I'm going to support him, and I'm going to put him in wrestling, but I'm never going to put him in an individual sport right now unless he really wants to and tells me to. And every now and then I drop it. I'm like, we'll see a jiu-jitsu thing, or we'll see some wrestling. His friend George is doing a wrestling thing. I'm like, hey, do you want to do some wrestling? No, okay. Like just never want to put him in that individual sport, because I remember when I was 5, 6, and 7, I wrestled. I lost to a girl, threw my headgear, quit because it was too much for me as an individual in an individual sport. So that was maybe my little wound that I have. But right now, I just want them to enjoy team sports. If you win, you won as a team. If you lose, you lost as a team. Celebrate your teammates. All of those different things that the beauty of sports teaches you. My son Ace is 2.5. He's playing basketball right now. He's got a personal basketball coach.
Damn, 2.5.
Connor.
2.5,
dude,
and he's playing basketball.
2.5. He's got a little jump. He's got a little jump shot, dude. He so more than anything, just get him out of the house, go be social with other kids, have fun, start growing up and enjoy life. But man, yeah, just holding a certain standard of who the Chandlers are. We are the Chandlers, and we do this, this, and this, and we don't do this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. And then it's just constantly in every area of the life, whether it's at the dinner table, whether it's inside the house, whether it's in the backyard, whether it's in sports, whether it's in school, it all carries over, because it is to be uniquely human, to operate a certain way in every area of life.
I love that. I always like asking other fathers who have children and how do they like to do it. Because for me, there's no instructions, right? Like I met my father 8 years ago, and he didn't raise me. My mom, she raised me, but she was, deaf, single mom, raising 3 kids. So, now that I have my own, my middle is kind of like you. He experienced, like, he doesn't like losing individually. If they lose as a team, they all can, lift each other up. But when he lost on his own, he goes, I'm never competing again in jiu-jitsu. I'm like, why? And he goes, I don't know how to deal with losing. I don't know how to deal with these emotions. And I'm like, well, it's okay, son. And he goes, it's okay for you to say that, Dad, because you're 37 years old. I'm 6 years. He goes, I'm 6 years old. I don't know how to deal with these emotions. I was like, motherfucker, how dare you talk to me like that? Right? It's like,
well, the good thing is, man, and this is why I think we in the sport that we are in are so truly blessed, because you have losses, and millions and millions of people saw them, and they're going to live on YouTube. Someone right now is probably watching you lose on YouTube somewhere around the world, right? Like, that is a beautiful thing. And I have more losses than you, luckily. So for me, I could be like, hey, dude, I know you think you lost, and I love that you feel this way, but dude, Daddy lost too. Daddy loses every day. I've never one day not lost a certain position or not been able to lift the weight I lose every single day. And obviously you're 37, 38, we're this age. And it's like, of course we understand that, but it's great when you could say, hey, why don't you hop on YouTube and watch Michael Chandler versus this guy, Michael Chandler versus that guy. Don't watch me lose. Yeah, it sucked. And I felt the exact same emotions that you did, but here I am standing confidently on my own 2 feet, knowing that loss happened for me, not to me, and it's just, that's why it's a beautiful thing to be in the position that we're in, man, because they look at us like superheroes, but it's like, yeah, even superheroes lose, man. So it's a huge blessing to be in the sport that we are in.
Love that. Okay, we're on the same path. All right, now let's get back to fight business. We got a big fight coming up. You're taking on Charles Oliveira. Obviously, you waited for Conor. That fell through. He's out there, doing his thing. And then now you're fighting Charles Oliveira. You fought before. You had him hurt the first time you fight. You guys fought, and then he came back and hurt you, ended up finishing you. He got you back. You do a big slam. You're running at 12. Walk me through this next opportunity you get to fight Charles Oliveira, right? You had 2 years off to rework your game, to fall back in love with the sport. How are you liking, or talk me through what you're thinking about this next time you're going to meet Charles?
I love this fight. I love the timing of it. I love the opponent. I think it's the perfect time for me to fight Charles after a little bit of a layoff. He's been very active. He won the title, lost the title, just lost to Arman. And man, I respect the hell out of Charles, man. He's one of the great ones in the sport. He's got a hell of a story, man. Just an absolutely unreliable guy when he was younger, missing weight and winning fights he shouldn't have won, and then losing fights he shouldn't have lost, coming back, building himself back up, becoming the champion, beating Gaethje, beating Poirier, 2 of the best guys to ever do it in the lightweight division, man. So, it's a great fight. I do think, I started at a 12. got a little overzealous. I was brand new in the UFC. I mean, at that point, I had only fought one time in the UFC, and I fought for 2 minutes. So I had 2 minutes of octagon time in the UFC under my belt. Hunter Campbell calls me right after that fight a week later and was like, "Hey, dude, Khabib's really not coming back. Poirier and Conor are fighting each other again. They're doing a trilogy. So you're fighting Oliveira for the title." I'm like, okay, dude.
Let's go.
All right. And I'm like, all right. So boom, started training camp. I was in San Diego when I got the call. The next week I go into training camp and then just go right into it. And I never really was able to build my mind up to where I needed it to be the champion. Started out as a 12, lost focus. I know the mistake that I made that I don't make anymore. I haven't made that mistake since I fought Charles. And I just think I'm a rejuvenated, reborn fighter, man. It's a different, I call it Chandler 2.0. It's just different. And it's not even necessarily game plan or skill sets. It's just a mindset of it and the way I view the sport, the way I view that canvas, that octagon, when that octagon door closes and what it looks like, feels like, and what it means to be in the arena. So I think I go out there, put the foot on the gas like I always do, maybe not a 12, maybe like an 11 and a half. And put some hands on them and settle into the fight and look for the finish early and often.
Oh, man. I wish I was in your corner in the back of the room. Like, okay, Chandler. All right. You're working with your coach. Pop, 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 pop. You come near. I was like, okay, Chandler. Okay, you're going to start at maybe like, probably 12. You're supposed to be like, let's think about 13 and a half. This is 2.0. Remember that. We got some new horsepower. I'm like, okay. Let's try to start at a 6 or 7. Because, that's the thing. Because sometimes when you start hard, it throws people off. Right? There's never been a time you haven't taken a fight to an opponent, right? And the only time you might have a little trouble is when they're able to recover fast, right? I felt once you hurt him and then he was on the ground doing this shit like Aljo does, moving his head, and you're trying to hit him, he was able to recover. And then a lot of people don't like to follow him down to the guard, right? Once Islam dropped him, what's his guard and follow him, that's where he gets the opportunity to recover. So I think if you're able to hurt him again and you're not at a 16, you're maybe at a 7 or 8, give you a little leeway, you might be able to, actually put the nail in the coffin this time and not give them the opportunity to recuperate.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the plan. Just be a veteran, man. Be a disciplined veteran. I'm still like, I'm 38. I can't be fighting like I'm 22, like a bat out of hell with no skill.
You're going to go out there. You're like, there we go. 2.0.
Yeah. It's like, I still fight at the same pace, the same crazy pace I did at 22 when I didn't know how to fight. I've got all this knowledge and all this experience and all of the championship lights and all the main events and all of the hours inside of a competition. So I need to fight like it, So I've just been visualizing it, man. I got a 180-page journal that I've done like 95 pages in already in the last like 2 months because I've just constantly been writing down who I am, how I operate, how this fight's going to go, what I believe about myself, and then also dispelling the lies that I've told myself over the years because I need to go in there and just fight the way that I need to fight. Not to be entertained. And the funny thing is too, just so everybody knows, and I never once made the decision to say, hey, I'm going to go out there. I want to be entertaining. I'm here just to entertain the crowd. It's just a byproduct of my fight style. That's not where the mindset is. But I do realize that about myself. That guy in there can't be trusted, or at least the old guy could not be trusted. The new guy can be trusted. I'm a salty veteran, a disciplined veteran, and hopefully I don't eat my words, but the plan is to go out there and fight like a veteran and go out there and get my hand raised.
I feel like I'm talking to two different, I'm talking to one person, Michael Chandler, but I feel like you have like, your little Chandlers on your shoulder, right? You have the one that's all disciplined, dressed in a suit, ready to go. Then you have the one on the right-hand side on the other shoulder that's dressed in a leather jacket. It's probably got your tequila, because you have a tequila business, right? I've seen you do some tequila stuff. Yeah. It's got your tequila.
He's already 3 shots deep at least.
Yeah, he's 3 shots deep. He's got some glasses on, and then you're in the back, you're warming up, and this one's like, you're doing good, Chandler. Move your head. You're a veteran. You know what you're doing. And in other words, and they're taking his 4th shot. Yeah, we know what's going to happen. You get in the cage. This one goes to the bathroom. He goes, "You ready, buddy? 2.0, right? 2.0. Let's show him. Let's take it. You told Demetrious you were at 12. Let's show him a 15, bud. Come on now." And you're like, you know what? You're right. Let's fucking go. So I'm excited. Now I'm excited to know, because you are so disciplined in the gym, and everything you do. Not saying you're not disciplined when you fight, right? But you have that connection with your mind where it's like, why am I fighting this? I have 30 plus years of experience of competing, but it just goes out the window because little Chandler, the leather jacket, and the glass, and the tequila is telling me to go.
Yeah,
I love it.
He's just like, F it, let's go. Like, why did you do that? Why did you force that position when you didn't need to force that position? Well, Chandler with the leather jacket told me this. Let's see what happens if we do this. It's like I'm just experimenting in there. Like, let me see I know I'm not supposed to do this, but let's see if I can do this and get out of it. It's like, no, that's a bad idea.
No, I love it. The viewers. I know we got some artists in there. Draw Michael Chandler. One good Chandler, one bad Chandler. Please post it in the Discord. I'll love to see it, and I'll send it to him. Now, talk to me. Well, I'm about to let you go. Talk to me about the tequila. Right? I see you make your little tequila spritz or whatnot. What made you get into tequila?
Tequila's been my drink of choice for the last 12 years, probably. It is the cleanest. It is the cleanest drink. Mm-hmm. Well, all the research shows, right? So it is really the only thing that I drink. And a lot of times I like to drink it on the rocks. And I wanted to start my own. But then if you really look into the process, it takes like a year and a half to even launch your own tequila brand. So I actually partnered with a friend of mine. We actually were looking at doing a moonshine, an East Tennessee moonshine, Popcorn Sutton, but then we ended up losing the IP. So we kept this relationship going, and he's like, hey man, I know you love tequila. And I'm telling you right now, this hiatus tequila, it was founded by a guy named Christopher DeSoto out of New York City. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. So it started about 5 years ago. He's like, wow, it's going to take you forever to start your own. Why don't you just go in and invest in this one and become a brand ambassador, partner, be on the board and help build someone else's. And I'm like, I like that. Let's do that. So I met with Chris. We were just so equally yoked in so many different areas. It's an authentic, real, true tequila, the way it was supposed to be made. No cutting of corners, no rectification, no additives. We got an awesome distillery down in Tequila, Mexico called La Cofradía, which means brotherhood. So I went down to the distillery, met them. And as soon as I met them, spent the weekend or a couple of meetings with Chris. I was like, man, this is the right move. So I invested in the company, and now we're trying to take a hiatus all across the country. We're in 9 or 10 markets right now. We're kind of slowly building. And yeah, it's been a fun ride, man, doing little tequila tastings. And we're in 88 stores down in Publix right now. So we're just going to continue to grow and drinking hiatus, man.
I love it. Michael.
I'll have to send you some.
Yeah, send me some. My wife, we haven't been drinking. We kind of been like dry. What is it? We're in October, dry October. And we've been using a little more. Sober October. Well, as I get older, you know what? Like as I get older, I have so much like gut issues. I've had gut issues like my whole entire life. And as I get older, I'm like, why am I drinking alcohol when it's giving me inflammation? Like I'll have heartburn and all this stuff. And my choice of drink is tequila because it is the healthiest for you because the way it's processed. And so I'll only just drink tequila. But then after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm done drinking alcohol. And so I started, doing THC. Shout out to Via Hemp. And I just feel so much better. Like I don't need to take 4-5 shots or 2 shots to get where I need to be. I sleep great. No heartburn when I go to bed. So I'll take 1 pull and then I'm fucking out for 8.5 hours. I wake up, heart rate's like 44 beats per minute. I'm like, when I drink alcohol, it's like 55 beats per minute. I got a heart rate's going through. I'm like, heartburn. I'm not having a heart attack. It's just so, but it's the process of me getting older, and I just feel so much better when I do that. So, but hey, still send me some because maybe one night I'm like, hey, it's been 6 months. Let's try some hiatus.
Yeah. So how do you do any THC drinks? Have you seen those new things?
I have tried the drinks and that just fucks me up. Like I feel since a long time ago, about maybe I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, I got hit with SIBO, which is a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth in the small intestine. And I went through all this testing, shit in a bag, giving it to them. They'll test the bag and breathalyzer and all that stuff. And it came out that my body has a hard time digesting fructose, which is found in fruit. So strawberries, blueberries, bananas, Brussels sprouts, anything that has fructose in it is like basically an atomic bomb in my stomach at that time. So when that happened, I was basically eating like just chicken, rice, just clean, nothing really. And then I was like, I talked to the doctor. I was like, man, what can I, I can't drink beer because of the barley. It will bloat me. I'm like, man, like where am I going to have some vices? And he was like, okay, why don't you try edibles, and you can try tequila because it's very good for the gut. It has antibiotics in it, or excuse me, probiotics, not antibiotics. That'd be horrible. Probiotics. Could you imagine that you drink a fucking shot? It's like, so I started down that path, and then as I got older, the SIBO went away. I still couldn't have much fructose because it would give me heartburn, and then I started developing heartburn. And then after a while, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start experimenting with THC. I took a drink, and then I was out for 2 to 3 days just because my body it's slower to metabolite everything. I went to the doctor, and I was like, Doc, I'm still high after 2 days from drinking this drink. He goes, okay, well, 1, how much did you drink? You're supposed to sip it. And 2, when it goes through, you digest it, you gotta remember it's hitting your intestines, it's hitting your liver, it's in your kidneys, it's going through it has to go through all the process. And he goes, if you smoke it, it's just hitting your lungs and it's going straight to your brain. It's in and out a lot quicker. So I had done the drinks, I've done edibles, and it just depends what mood I'm in. For me, it's like if I have a long day, badass week of training, weight's great, I've been good on my diet, I'll like, you know what, I deserve to treat myself. I'll go outside and, just a little bit and then enjoy my night.
There you go. All right, cool. Yeah, because I didn't know. Yeah, you said you took a pool, so I wasn't sure. Because I don't. But I know my friends Bussin' with the Boys. They're sponsored by That Can Drink, CANN. So it's got like, and there's a bunch of, and actually, so I'm actually also part owner of it's called Vertical Beverage Group, where they help with a bunch of different beverage, and they've taken on like 2 other THC drinks. So it's kind of seems like that's trending in that direction where people are like, maybe I want to drink less alcohol and just drink THC or eat THC or whatever.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's like I said, I've experimented. Obviously, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're 21 and over. I'm 38. I'm successful, so I can do this. Don't worry. My kids have clothes on them. They're off to school. They have lunch. They got everything, right? So for me, it's just a way just to relax. Right. It's not I'm not one of those guys like, I'm bored. Let me go ahead and just smoke. No, it's more of like, hey, you know what? Everything is good. Everybody's good. You know what? I think I'm just going to take one hit and call it a night. So that's what it is for me. So before we let you go, Michael, my producer wants over. Is there anything you want to ask the man before he gets out of here?
Yeah. First of all, shout out to First Form. I know, Mike, they also sponsor you as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was very light after this last practice. We had a really long, hard practice, and I just made the biggest protein shake with cookies, or ice cream cookie First Form level 1 protein, like the biggest one. And I was running a little bit late, so I just threw everything in there, and I did 2 scoops of level 1.
Mm-hmm.
Pulling out the hat, shout out First Form.
There it is.
Giving them some props.
The boys.
So I also want to ask about your card. So I have a couple questions about the card. First of all, one guy I wanted to ask you about, Bo Nickel. We had him on the MIGHTYcast last week. Someone who you had the story of being a walk-on in Missouri. This is a guy with a very different story. One of the greatest college wrestlers ever. I mean, absolutely ridiculous at Penn State. What do you think about him as someone looking at a guy who went from wrestling, goes very quickly into MMA? Where do you see his ceiling in this sport?
He's got an extremely high ceiling. I mean, mainly because I just had Bo here at my house. We did his podcast a couple weeks ago when he was in town. And you can just tell, man, the way he lives his life. Obviously he had a ton of success in wrestling, but he also did it the right way. Very disciplined guy, very focused on becoming the best. He's got he doesn't have all the tools yet, physically, right? His hands aren't great. His grappling isn't where it needs to be and all those different things. Of course, because he's only been doing it for a couple of years, right?
Yep.
But his mind and this, DJ, right? You could have all the talent in the world, but if you don't do things right, if you don't really truly see yourself as a champion and hold yourself to that standard, then you might continue to progress physically, but eventually it's going to fizzle out. I think his mind his vision for himself, his discipline as his skill set continues to go higher and higher. Plus, he's going about it the right way. He's calling out the big names, and he's talked about Hamzat and all these other things, but he's getting the right fights at the right time, and he's getting continued to be built. And he's getting on big cards, so people are going to continue to know his name, and he's going to continue to grow. And I think he fights for the title maybe at the beginning of 2026.
Damn.
I think he could make a run for the title, because he'll have this fight in Madison Square Garden. He'll have 3 fights next year.
Yep.
One of those is going to be in the top 10 by the end of the year next year. And I think he fights for the title in the first half of 2026. And I think he could be world champion.
Boom. There you go. You heard it right there from Chandler.
Yeah.
That's
And
my
then
guess.
last question, the main event of your card, Jon Jones Stipe. What are your thoughts on that? Do you have any prediction? A matchup we've been waiting a long time for. What are your thoughts on that main event?
Yeah, man, it's a great fight. I mean, you talk about two legends. Obviously, John's only had one fight at heavyweight, but a legend. He's on the Mount Rushmore of mixed martial arts. It's a tough one in the sense that we haven't seen John fight but one time in the last 4-something years, so it's hard to remember how good he is. But every time he shows up, and he's absolutely freaking phenomenal. We haven't seen Stipe fight in a while. You got to give the nod to the favorite being John with the skill set that he has. But man, never sleep on Stipe, dude. Somehow that dude just hangs around. He surprises us. And I think they're both doing this one for legacy too, man.
Yeah.
I think they're both close to. They both have talked about the R word. They've used the word retirement. They're both not going to have too many more fights left. So every single opportunity they have to compete is about retirement or about their legacy. But I think from a skill set standpoint, you got to give that to Jon Jones. But never sleep on Stipe.
Yeah. No, I love that. Man, I was going to ask you a question. How much calories, I mean, I'm sure since you're so disciplined, do you try to keep track of how many calories you intake with like the protein and all that stuff, or you just eat as much as possible? As much as possible with clean stuff.
Yeah, no, I don't eat as much as possible, unfortunately, man.
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
Usually,
Because you're in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
My bad.
So I know it's really tough, but it's also, I enjoy the suck, man. I enjoy eating. So I actually, I've been using the same meal prep company for about the last 8 years called Mega Fit Meals. They deliver them to me. They're right there. I throw them in the skillet. And I've been eating essentially steak and vegetables every single meal for the last 6 weeks.
So no carbs.
Dude. Yeah. Don't get me started on carbs. People are like, Chandler, eat a freaking carb, man. I'm like, dude, I don't, man. I get my carbs from vegetables. Now that protein shake I just had, it was ice cream sandwich, but I put a half a banana in it.
Yep.
I put some berries.
Yep. So you're getting carbs, butter, but you're not getting the oats and the barley and the rice and that carb. You're getting the carbs from other sorts of carbs.
No,
Gotcha.
no breads, no rices, no potatoes.
Yep.
I probably could get away with it. I was light today, so I'm very happy about that. I'd like to be ahead of schedule. I'm so tired of cutting weight, man. I'd rather be way ahead of schedule than not.
It feels good, babe. I'm gonna tell you right now.
It feels so good.
It feels good. I mean, you know how it is. Like, this is the first time when I do jiu-jitsu, the weight class I compete at is 154. Then the next class lower is 141, and you weigh in before you compete. Kind of like wrestling, right? Yeah. And one of my coaches, Bibiana, goes, DJ, I think you should go 141. And I was like, Bibby, I'm not going 141. I was like, I'm fucking 38 years old, and I walk around like 148. I can eat whatever I want. And obviously I'm eating a lot more cleaner stuff. Like, I don't just eat a whole bunch of bullshit, but it feels good not to cut weight. But when you get there, I'm gonna welcome you to never have to cut weight ever again, my friend.
I cannot wait, dude. I definitely going to compete at something, but it's definitely not going to be any kind of weight class, anything. I will never, ever cut weight ever again. I put my time in, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and I ain't trying to do it ever again, man. Because, man, I mean, the crazy thing is, my senior year of high school, I competed at 152. Then I competed for 5 years at Mizzou at 157. Now I've been fighting 155 for 16 years. I've been competing in the 150s. I always make the joke. I'm like, I was supposed to be 6'2", 220, but I ended up cutting weight. And I ended up cutting weight. And
stunt your growth.
Stunt my growth. Yeah, exactly. So I'll be happy to never, ever be in the 160s, maybe even 170s ever again after I'm done fighting.
Damn. Well, Chandler, this is your opportunity to let the people know where they can find you, how they can support you. Let them know about all the entrepreneur stuff you got going on. The floor is yours, brother.
Thank you, man. Make sure everybody just follows me on my journey. At Mike Chandler MMA is my handles on all the socials, so you can follow along on the journey. We do have these see you at the top hats that are almost sold out.
Get yours.
Melon. Yeah. Melon.com. Drink hiatus tequila. And man, we actually, I'm building out right now, and I have a really cool announcement coming up in the next couple of months with my fitness app called Walk On Fitness. We're building a fitness community there where people can get on, be a part of a fitness community, nutrition, diet, and workouts. So always got stuff going on. And thank you for having me. You are an absolute legend. And can't wait to go out there and beat this dude on November 16th. Everybody buy the pay-per-view.
Is it true that you heard on Ariel that's how this you reached out to DJ, right?
Michael's referred to, the producers referred to, like, I was just on Ariel Helwani's podcast, and I was like, man, I want to talk to Michael Chandler. I want to talk to everybody. And then right after I got off, you were like, I'm sorry, man, we've been caught up, And then
dude, that's funny. I think I saw you on there, and I was like, oh my gosh, dude, I need to reach out to DJ because we've been trying to do this. And my text said exactly this. I said, me not getting back to you
is horrible.
That also, like, is not indicative of how much of a legend you are. I think you're an absolute legend. And I'm like, it's just funny how when you're in that one track mind and you're like, oh yeah, for sure, dude, let's do it. And then it's just crazy, man. So thank you for the time.
Oh, no, thank you. And you're so busy, and I appreciate you coming on the show. Like, I've always been a big fan of you for a very long time. I know our wives have talked before. She showed your wife or told your wife how to make a certain type of martini. So, and I love what you're doing in your career. The biggest thing that I love is that when you come up with a loss on your fights, you still have the same positive mindset. And that's what I think the world needs. Not just the world, but even our children. Right? And everybody thinks it's always about winning. And don't get me wrong, it is. But at the same time, enjoy the ride. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. Take the experience you've had in the sport of mixed martial arts or in school or whatever it may be, and use it to better your life. And you've done that, and it's awesome to hear you say, like, shit, I got this house. I don't need money. I got my hiatus tequila. Like, it puts a smile on my face when you look at the other side of the athletes who've been in our sport. They can't say the same thing. So it always makes you happy to hear another athlete say that. So Michael,
for sure. You as well, man. When you were talking to Harold, you're like, my goal is to make more money outside of the fighting than inside. And you've been given that platform because of fighting. We get this opportunity with all the eyeballs that we got from fighting, monetize it and use it to better people's lives, man. It ain't that hard. All it takes is a little gumption, a little discipline, a little hard work.
That's right, baby. You said it best. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our guest, Michael Chandler. Make sure you check out his fight as he takes on Charles Oliveira. Make sure you go buy the pay-per-view. I am your host, Amish Johnson, and that is my co-host, Michael Wandover. And we will see you guys at the next episode of the MIGHTYcast. Boom. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Mighty Recap. And this is the part of the episode where we recap everything we just went through with our guest. And our guest was Michael Chandler. It's kind of weird he doesn't have a nickname, but Michael Chandler, say the least. I think it is. Is it not Iron? I mean, I guess Iron Mike. It might be Iron Mike.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I wonder if that's just like an official nickname, or I want to check if Sure Dog's the one to believe. But
yeah, there you go.
It is. They got Iron. I don't know if
Iron.
Bruce. After this, I'll figure out if Bruce Buffer says it, because I don't believe Bruce Buffer says it. But
yeah, I don't think so. But the biggest thing I loved about talking to Michael was when he was going off that it was okay for him to take 2 years off from the sport of mixed martial arts. Like, he's got rental properties, he's got his tequila, he is a entrepreneur, and that always makes me happy, because there's going to be so many guys who are great fighters that might never become a world champion, but they were able to utilize the platform they had, and they were able to utilize the funding they got from their fighting to be able to build passive income. And that's the biggest thing. I'm on the path right now where if I decide, if I was like, hey, I'm not doing a MIGHTYcast anymore, everybody's like, well, how are you going to make money? I was like, I invested my money very well, and I'll be fine. I don't have to grind. I get to do this because I enjoy doing the podcast. And it's kind of interesting to get context on, like, when he does fight, he does go to a 12. Like, that's one of the things I always worry about when he does fight, is that he's so exciting, he's so athletic, so explosive, so intelligent, that he goes out there and he just blows his, I don't want to say he blows his wad, but he does go to a 12 and he just pedal to the metal. And then typically, if he can't finish the athlete's able to recover, and then it becomes more of a fight, and then he ends up losing. Like when he fought Charles Oliveira the first time, he dropped him. Even when he fought Dustin Poirier, he hurt Dustin Poirier as well. Dustin was able to come back and get the win against Michael Chandler. So I'll be kind of curious to see what his mindset's going to be from taking 2 years off from the sport and then now coming back and fighting Charles Oliveira, someone he lost to, and to hear him think about, waiting for Conor McGregor. And he's always had that good mindset that he's not mad at Conor. He's not mad at himself. It's just an opportunity that he would really wanted to have. And it wasn't about the money. It was just the competition. And potentially fighting Conor McGregor at 170, not 155. So other than that, man, I enjoyed talking to Michael Chandler, and I can't wait to see him fight Charles Oliveira.
I have never seen a fighter get more shit in my life for being entertaining. Never. It's so, we're in a weird part in the sport now. I'm sure you saw what what Conor McGregor said of where he thinks something needs to change in MMA with these wrestlers who, he thinks it's a little bit too heavy and biased towards the wrestlers, the rule set, allowing these wrestlers to grapple and make the fights boring. I don't know if you've seen McGregor say this. But how do we have these people who say, on one hand, these wrestlers make the fights boring, they make the sport boring, and then on the other hand, there are people who say Michael Chandler is too entertaining and he should wrestle more? Like, how does that make any sense? Shouldn't we be like, dude, this is awesome. We have a wrestler who's an All-American at Mizzou, right? But he's choosing to be entertaining. But instead, we see a lot of people just shit on him. Why is he not wrestling more? Isn't that just kind of weird to you? Like, dude, he's freaking... Do you want him to wrestle and make fights boring?
No, I'd rather see him utilize his wrestling a lot more in order to set himself up for better success and not taking so much damage.
Well,
right?
you,
For
DJ,
me,
but as a fan, though, like, shouldn't the fans love it?
Well, it's kind of hard because I'm an intelligent fan. So like when I never forget when I saw Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald, I was there live. Was I there live? I remember watching that fight, and I wasn't sitting there like, oh, this is fucking awesome. They're bloody, da da da. I was sitting there literally concerned about their health, and I was like, man, they just took years off their life, and I hope they made a lot of fucking money because they took years off their life. So for me, I would like to see Michael Chandler use more of his wrestling and his grappling ability along with his exciting style on his feet. That's just me as a person, even as a fan. Even when I watch Francis Ngannou, I think he's absolutely amazing. What he did to his last opponent, he wrestled him and grounded upon him. Flawless fight. He took no damage whatsoever. So for me, I'm entertained by the art form of mixed martial arts. I don't need to be entertained by two guys just beating the living shit out of each other. That's just me as a person. Now, as for the casual fan or the hardcore fan, they might want something a little more. They might not be fans of wrestling. I think Conor McGregor could use some wrestling in his style. That way he doesn't have to worry about, always going to work. But once again, this is just me. I like to use the whole skill set of options to my arsenal or my what's what I'm looking for? At my exposure, I can choose whatever I want to do in the fight. When you box, all you gotta do is box. You can't wrestle, you can't kick, you can't grapple. If you don't want to watch people who wrestle, go fucking watch MMA. Go watch that MMA. Go watch Muay Thai. Go watch boxing. Go watch kickboxing. You don't have to worry about wrestlers.
I agree with you, but where I still here we see Johnny Eblen, right? This is the fight that got Conor McGregor heated.
Instead of winning, it doesn't matter.
Coming out of the ground, fuck off, Elias.
Maybe it's going to try and.
Wow! Wow! Oh my God! No! What the hell?
Johnny Eblen, he's also a very good former collegiate wrestler. His style is just pure wrestling, right? He goes against Leon Edwards' brother, Fabian Edwards. It's pretty much a wrestling match. We see Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards. We see Merab versus Sean O'Malley. So I'm looking at it from that perspective. Do the fans And I agree with you. There's a happy medium, right? That Michael Chandler's not reaching. But from a fan perspective, I find it crazy that they just look at Michael Chandler and could be critical of his style when there's this contingent of fans who are very critical of these, the Merab, the Bilal Muhammad's, the Johnny Evans. That's kind of the point I'm getting to. So from a fan's perspective, I didn't get the chance to do it, but I love fighters like Michael Chandler who are just, they know I'm going to put on a fucking show. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it at my own health. I'm going to do it at the risk of getting another title shot, because if I lose, I'm going back down in the totem pole. He's doing it just because that is how he is built, right? Tyron Woodley said it all the way back to being a walk-on at Mizzou. He works harder than anyone. The coach had to force him 72 hours. I do not want to see you. Don't come back here.
I want to see your face.
It's always that saying, right? You can't speed up a horse, but you could slow it down. So I think I understand that there's a happy medium to reach, but as a fan, I appreciate it. I would hate for Michael Chandler to become just this, okay, I'm a guy who's an NCAA All-American wrestler. I love his style. I want him to keep doing it. It might not be great. He might not become a champion.
All you do is wrestle.
but isn't this why he got McGregor fight, right? That's the fight that every single lightweight wants more than the lightweight title potentially, or as much at least. He got it not because he was, just wherever he was in the rankings, right? He got it because McGregor looked and he's like, this is a guy who I know is going to be an entertaining fight. He's not going to be a guy who's going to wrestle me. So I think there's something about Chandler. His style did get him to where he wants to be. Maybe he has not been the lightweight champion in UFC, but he was in Bellator. So I think he has reached, I think he succeeded more than even he realizes legacy-wise. Like if he was to hang it up, and he's the same age as you, right? So if he was to hang it up in this next year, I still will look back at him like, fuck, banger every time, really every time you got a Michael Chandler fight, you got 100% of him. I know I'm sounding biased towards him, but I just appreciate the dudes who like, fuck, that Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler, what scenario would that fight be boring?
Nowhere, because they're good everywhere. Like even Charles, like I love that he mixes everything in. I love that he goes to the ground and he uses his jiu-jitsu to his ability. And I think to get back on that point where you have Conor McGregor saying like you can't have these wrestlers come into sport and just out wrestle people. Once again, let's go back to the infancy stage of mixed martial arts, the infancy stage where they made this sport to decide what is the best art form that beats all of them. Right? That was the very infancy stage, the starting of the sport. You had the boxer who just boxed. You had the karate guy who just did karate. You had Horace Gracie who just did jiu-jitsu. You had guys who specialize in a art form. Now we're in 2024. You're saying that we can't. You're. What do you think's going to happen in the street if you got in a fight with somebody? They out wrestle you and they beat the shit out of you. I don't see a problem. I guess it's almost at the same point where I hear people like guard pulling in jiu-jitsu is bad. And it's like, no, if you don't want him to pull guard, then you pull fucking guard. Then let me pass your. That's how I always look at it as a standpoint as a purist, an athlete who's competed for 20 plus years. That I'm not gonna allow somebody to be like, oh, wrestling's not exciting. Okay, then don't watch. I don't give a fuck. Don't watch. That's how I am, But that's what it is. But I love Chandler. I think the way he fights is absolutely exciting. I mean, he's bonus every single time he's fought. And if he were to use a little wrestling, I'm not gonna bat an eye. If he was to go out there and just take Charles Oliveira down for 15 minutes and pass his guard and beat the shit out of him, I'm not gonna be like, wow, that was a horrible fight, Chandler. I wish I had Chandler 1.0. I'm not gonna say that. I've never been that type of fan. Even when it's like anything else I've watched. That's just me as a person. But, I'm one person. I'm not all the fans out there.
No, and we got MSG this weekend. We had Bo Nicola on last week, and we had Michael Chandler obviously on this week. So just looking at the card, I do got to say it's a little bit weaker of a card than we're used to for MSG. But with that being said, though, John Jones Stipe, even with all the negativity that fight has gotten, I know we all want to see John Jones, Tom Aspinall, but with that being said, I'm still excited for it, right? I mean, I'm still anytime I could see Jon Jones fight anyone, I'm going to be all in. And I hope there's more to it after this. I hope if Jones wins, he defends it. I hope if Stipe wins, he defends it. But what are your thoughts kind of on that card this weekend?
No, I'm excited. I think Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic is going to be a dope-ass fight. We haven't seen Stipe in a very, very long time. The last time we saw Stipe was when he fought Francis. Francis has been able to do a boxing match and come back to mixed martial arts, and we still haven't seen Stipe. So put that in context of how long it's been since we've seen Stipe. And then you also have Bo Nickel returning. He's got a tough opponent. And then you also have Michael Chandler taking on Charles Oliveira. I mean, it's a pretty sick card. But back on the Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, I'll be okay if I never saw Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones. And the reason why I say that is because, why? Well, for me, it's like if two people don't want to fight, right? Then it's like, I don't care to see it. That makes sense.
Well, it's like you and Dillashaw kind of, right? It's like we never got that fight, but you
never got that because
it makes sense now with you explaining it why it didn't happen, but
exactly. And so, but when I think about the Jones versus Stipe, like if Jones wanted to fight Tom Aspinall, he would have fought him. I'm sure if Jon Jones like, hey UFC, hey Dana, it's me. No, I'm not in trouble anymore. Don't worry about it. Okay. Hey, yeah. Hey, I don't want to fight Stipe. Let me fight Tom Aspinall. Do you think the UFC is going to say no?
Yeah, I mean, there's no if, and, or buts about it. If Jon Jones wanted to fight Aspinall, would have been the main event of MSG this weekend. 100%.
Exactly. So for me, it's like, I'm not saying Jon Jones doesn't want to fight him, but my feelings is that Jon Jones is fighting Stipe because it's a legacy fight. Yes, Stipe is a bigger name. Stipe is one of the bigger names in the division, but so for me, it's like, do I want to see Tom versus Jon Jones? 1000%, but I'm not holding my breath. I think Jones beats Stipe and then Jones rides off in the sunset. And so that fight, it's just a legacy fight. And then I think we have the fresh new breed of heavyweights that are coming in there. And yeah, I just for me, it's like, I feel if you truly want to fight somebody, you can make it happen, besides monetization, right? Like, I just feel if Jones wanted to, and I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong. He's more welcome to come on the MIGHTYcast and correct me. And if he's like, dude, I'd rather fight Stipe because he's a bigger name. He's been around for a very, very long time. And I'm taking that fight. And then maybe after then fighting Stipe, maybe I'll fight Tom Aspinall. But I don't think I have nothing to prove to fight Tom Aspinall. Perfect. I don't care to see you fight Tom Aspinall. Clean. That's just my, like, I'll never forget. I was with one of my coaches, and he had this mindset that if somebody didn't want to do something, then he would take that mindset out of his mind. Meaning, like, he was with his girlfriend at the time, and she was dancing with all these dudes in the club. All these dudes. I was like, damn, dog, you okay with her dancing with all these dudes? He goes, yeah, because I can't force her to come home with me. If she wants to be with me, come home with me, she'll go dance with these guys. She's gonna come home with me. So that's kind of like my feeling there. Like, if Jon Jones wants to fight Tom Aspinall, boom, sign me up. Let's do it. I'm fucking here. I'm ready to rock and roll. But if Jon Jones doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall, I'm like, okay, perfect. Then all right. Then I'm not gonna put that in my mind.
I mean, it would.
That's just.
But here's what I do want to say, though, and we've gone way off topic. But in the scenario that you lay out, right? Jon Jones and Stipe, whoever wins retires, and then Aspinall, his title, he'll go against someone for undisputed. If that happens, I think you have to rank in terms of the real heavyweight champions of the world. Number one, Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
Number two, Aspinall's interim title, and then number three is the UFC undisputed heavyweight title. Like, come on, you cannot rank it any other way. That's you have Ngannou never lost it. You have Aspinall who has defended an interim title, and then third, two guys who have fought once combined in the last 3 or 4 years.
I totally agree with you. I'm on the same boat with you. I'm fucking paddling and you're fucking singing. I agree with you, dude. Like, Francis Ngannou has never lost. He just fought recently. And granted, Jon Jones has been active because he injured himself, right? So we got to put that in context. He hasn't fought
a
because he
torn
injured
pec
himself.
sucks too. That's a major ass injury. So
Yeah, right. So he is getting older. I think I'm older by a couple months. So he is 37, 38. And I'm pretty sure he's got enough money in the bank where he doesn't have to fight. So him fighting Tom Aspinall, it proves nothing to him, right? He's came out and stated that himself. I've read it. He said that. So with that being said, I can't put somebody, and I don't think this is Jon Jones's goal, as one of the great heavyweights in the UFC. I would put Andrei Arlovski above Jon Jones because he had way more fights at heavyweight, right? I think he has more title defenses at heavyweight.
I would put Stipe way over Jon Jones, even if Jon Jones beats him.
Even Daniel
How about
Cormier,
that?
even probably Daniel Cormier. No.
Even
Daniel
I
Cormier.
would put Daniel Cormier.
Stipe.
I would put Stipe himself, even if
Because-
he loses this, because this is
Yes.
a 42-year-old Stipe. He was a fucking monster. I think that's the issue with this fight, right? They're billing it as legacy versus legacy, but it doesn't affect Stipe's legacy. If he wins, holy shit! If he wins, okay, then we could talk. But if he loses, I don't think it hurts him. I don't think it hurts Stipe's legacy at all. So.
Yeah, and I think and for the viewers, look at this concept right here. So Jon Jones is he is the greatest light heavyweight we've ever seen in the world. If somebody from light heavy, what's the next weight class? Light heavyweight, it'd be middleweight, 185. That's such a big fucking jump, 185 to 205. Let's say who's the 185 pound champion right now? Dricus du Plessis. Let's say Dricus du Plessis goes on, a 5-6 title defense. Right? Then all of a sudden he goes, I'm going up to 205. I'm going to win the belt. And then I'm going to defend it. And I'm going to we would not consider him one of the greatest light heavyweights in the world just because he has 2 wins in a division. We wouldn't do that. That just discredits everybody. That would discredit what Jon Jones has done in that division. Does that make sense?
No, yeah. And I'm in agreement with you 100%.
Yes,
I mean, that's the thing.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Did you finish your
for
point?
the viewers. Yeah, no, I was kind of finished my point, but for the viewers, keep that in concept. It's not a disrespect to Jon Jones. It's almost crediting the work that Stipe, that Daniel Cormier, that all the other heavyweights, and Frank Mir, Brock Lesnar, just the list goes on of the heavyweights that been there. Like,
But here's the thing, DJ, if you came back, it will never happen. This is probably the best way to say it. You come back and you fight Pantoja, right? And he beats you. Does that make Pantoja the greatest flyweight in UFC history? No.
No.
You have 11 title defenses, right?
Yes.
So you get 11. I don't know what Pantoja would be on, but it would be nowhere near 11. So
I think he's
if you
at 2?
came, yes, whatever the number may be, if Pantoja comes back and he beats you, which is amazing. Of course, I'm not taking away anything from that feat, but it doesn't make him the greatest flyweight of all time. No way. The greatest, still you.
The greatest example is Adrian Moraes, right? He knocked me out, and people aren't saying he's one of the greatest flyweights of all time, right? You just put it right there, right? He is a great flyweight, but not one of the greatest. I'll put him up there. He's up there. So I know we went on a tangent, ladies and gentlemen, about the whole Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic because I think a lot of people don't talk about it. I think a lot of people don't talk about it, and I think a lot of people are scared to talk about it, or maybe they don't care to talk about it. But as us being fans of Jon Jones, Stipe, Francis, Tom Aspinall, I think it doesn't hurt to talk about it because these are like the internal battles we have as fans when we watch this fight that's about to play out between Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic, where it's like, yes, would I have loved to see Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, the heavyweight champion, fighting the interim champion? 1,000%. But since Jon Jones doesn't want that, I don't want it anymore. So I've taken that image and threw it out my mind until after this fight happens. We will see what Jon Jones decides to do. I think he rises to the sunset. Rightfully so. He's had a long career. There's nothing for him to prove. And even if he beats Tom, for him to be the greatest light heavyweight champion, he's already accomplished that. And for him to be the greatest heavyweight champion and go down in history, he would have to be like, he would at least have to put six fucking fights in there. Six fights from me. You can't, like, I even if he beats Stipe, if he was to beat Stipe and Tom Aspinall, I would still not put him as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time in the UFC.
Well, I mean, you put it as one of them, right? I mean, that's being a little harsh. I agree. I agree with the point you're making of greatest. That's
four
three
fights.
3 fights. Yeah. Well, it's 3 fights.
3 fights.
Yes,
you can't.
Cyril Gane, Stipe, Aspinall. But I will say though, if he did that, like fuck. I mean, we're speaking hypothetical, but even I would be like, fuck, he's in the conversation at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess. I mean, once again, what defines great, right? Like, what defines great? We already know his skill set is great. It's far not one of the best out there. But what defines great? What defines a person getting that title to be called one of the greatest in a division?
Are we going to call GSP one of the greatest middleweights ever just because?
No, I'm not. He's
he won the middleweight title versus Michael Bisping.
And if he was to defend it, you know what I mean? So it's not like what Jon Jones has done before. What he has done hasn't been done before. Right? You look at Henry Cejudo, he's done something that nobody's truly ever done before. He's beat me, he's defended the belt, he goes up the bantamweight, he wins the belt, and then he defends it. I don't think there has ever been another athlete in the whole company history of all of mixed martial arts that I could think of right now who's done that, right? Jon Jones is going to get the opportunity, right? But here's the flip side. Henry Cejudo has done it against the number one contender. It was never against somebody who's been out for 4 years, who's coming off a loss. He beat Marlon Moraes, knocks him out, 135, becomes a champion. Then he turns around and defends it against Domino Cruz, one of the greatest bantamweights in that division. He beats me. Who does he defend it against? TJ Dillashaw, the champion of 130. So what Jon Jones has done, Michael Bisping has done. He was the champion at 170, left the sport, came back, knocked out.
You said Michael Bisping, but I'm
excuse me. GSP has done it. He was a champion at welterweight. He left the sport. He came back and fought Michael Bisping, ended up choking out Michael Bisping. Then he left the sport. Jon Jones, he never left the sport. He was a light heavyweight champion around the world. He went up to heavyweight, put on a lot of weight. Beats Cyril Gane, gets that belt. Was that a vacant belt? Yeah, that was a vacant belt because the true heavyweight champion of the world left to make more money. So it was a vacant belt. Becomes a champion. Now he's getting an opportunity to defend it. So long story short, in 4 years, you're going to come back and you're going to win the 135 title in the UFC, and then we're going to call you the greatest bantamweight of all time. That's what's going to end up happening. Pretty much. But boys, Michael Chandler was absolutely a treat. Make sure you check out all the things he's got going on. Check out his hiatus tequila. Check out his fight against Charles Oliveira. Check out Prize Picks. Shout out to First Form for keeping us hydrated and fueled for this episode of the MIGHTYcast.
I am your host. Prize Picks. Make your picks.
I just said that, motherfucker. Get your Prize Picks in.
I want to show off my hat. They sent me the sick hat. I always see Sean.
I sent you that hat. Don't give them credit.
I always see Sean O'Malley wearing it at the gym here in Phoenix, and I'm just like, that's a sick hat. It's got I forgot what side it's on. Oh yeah, it's got some cursive.
There you go. They don't even do cursive anymore in school. It's unfortunate. But boys, I am your host, Demetrious Johnson. That is my co-host, my main man, Michael Wansover. And let us know in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode of the MIGHTycast of Michael Chandler. And let us know what you thought about the recap. We went on a very, very long rant about the card, the state of the division of Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall and Stipe Miocic. Let us know what you guys think. If Jon Jones beats Stipe Miocic, will you guys consider him one of the greatest heavyweights of all time? Granted, he's only had 2 fights in a division. Or you guys agree with me and Michael? Like, Jon Jones is he is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, but does not make him, I don't know, he might come back and say, that does make me the greatest heavyweight of the world. I don't fucking know. But in my opinion, he doesn't get that check mark from me unless he does a lot more. Not that he's looking for that check mark from me. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe, hit the bell to know when we go live, and we will see you guys at the next episode of the MIGHTYcast.